universe unfold in a facility where the truth's been told. Conspiracies and cover-ups entwine. As we search for answers, will we find in the shadows the truth awaits? In the shadows the truth awaits. UFOs, aliens, thermal sights. As we share the knowledge under the lights. Did the government recover a crashed UFO? Or alien bodies hidden, where do they go? Sean Mapp's alien agenda, is it right? Will the truth finally come to light?
Everybody, welcome to the Coley and Marquis Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I just realized 2 seconds ago that I actually played a brand new intro song. I apologize, but it was cool anyway, so I hope you all liked it. Hello, everybody. My name is Marquise, and again, welcome to the Coley and Marquis Show. We are streaming live on multiple platforms. We are on the Helix Rock Radio show. If you go to the website, Helix Rock Radio website, you can watch us live. You can also download the app. It's awesome, especially for Android app right now. It's very optimized. Check it out. You can also find us in the Apple App Store as well. That is also available to listen to the Helix Rock Radio station as well. So you can see us there. Again, we also will be live streaming eventually on our Facebook page, the Coley and Marquis Show. We just gotta wait. We just started, so there's some restrictions on when we start streaming. So just stay tuned with for that. And Coley, say hi.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here.
Yeah, yeah. If anybody's experiencing some of that weather, just let me know because I know what it's like now. I get it. I get it. I never thought I'd ever experience a tornado watch, but apparently it's a real thing in my area. It's very, very strange to be totally honest with you. Coley's used to it. You're used to it, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, the last week I had an issue with it. My power and internet went out, and then I was like, man, what are the chances you got hit the next week? So
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully we're good for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite strange. I was not expecting again. I when the sky turned dark, and then all of a sudden the trees started blowing like really like they started to bend. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then the downpour, the just torrential downpour was wild. That was just a wild, wild thing to see. So yeah, yeah. Um, but we're okay. It lasted for about 30 minutes and that was done. You said how many tornadoes do you see every now and then? What is it? What is a tornado count for you?
We have a tornado season here, so there's like, I mean, multiple
No
warnings
way.
and watches.
No
Yeah,
way.
I've seen so many. My friend, like I was telling you, she outran one with her sister's kids in the car.
My goodness.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, once they touch down, they go a little bit slower. But yeah, it's wiped out the back of our mall and cities between. But yeah, it's a lot. Definitely a lot. It's
That is
windy.
just that's absolutely wild. That's wild to me. So hold on one second. I see we oh, I'm not sure why. We're gonna have to fix that. Give me 1 second here. Does anybody, if anybody, so we are, I'm sharing now if you guys haven't seen, we are, Bryson, what's up, Bryson? Good to see you in this chat. We got some people in the chat now, actually, so hopefully we'll get some more people in the chat, actually. The chat right now can only be done through the YouTube channel, which again, I'm gonna share that with you guys all here. Give me 1 second before the light blinds me. As everyone can see, I'm like going blind in the chat. So if you guys see me like wide-eyed, that's why, because I'm blinded by my computer light. I don't have my glasses on right now. But I'm gonna share it to the team, to the team in chat, so they can share it all over the socials, and we can have a live chat
Yes.
going as well. So CMTS
Huge
team,
shout out.
yeah,
Yeah, to Polly, Tim, Jim,
Scott,
Scott, and yeah, Steve.
yeah.
Hopefully we see you pretty soon. But yeah, love you guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Seriously, it has been I couldn't do this without all of you. I keep saying this, I'm gonna say it every time. You guys are the reason why we're doing this in the first place. I'm just a voice. You're all like keeping this whole thing together. This ship would sink on day one if it wasn't for all of you. So you know what my
I
situation is
agree.
like. I'm very busy. So we have a guest. You know what, Coley? Why don't you introduce our guest because we're gonna have her tell you about tell everyone about herself because there's quite a few updates and I don't want to butcher all the cool updates we have for her. So we're gonna bring her in. You ready, Coley?
Well, you know what? I think we should let her introduce herself because she's
We're
got a
gonna
lot of new things
yeah,
that's
we're gonna
coming
do that.
up.
We're
So
gonna do that.
yeah, I
All right,
definitely
so
think we should let
all
her.
right, so
Dana,
Dana, we're adding you to the chat right now. So
putting
as
you
soon as
right on the spot.
Dana.
Hello.
Hey, it's so good to see you. Everyone has been excited for the show. We missed last night, so like this is going to be even more ramped up than before because people are waiting for us to have this conversation. So tell us, Dana, about yourself so we don't butcher everything that's been going on with you lately.
I know, right? Well, I'm disguised as a suburbanite, a housewife, but I have been, I've been married to the same man for like 33 years. I have two grown sons. I live in the Twin Cities. I grew up in Friendly Fridley, and I used to own a food truck, and I was a culinary partner with US Bank Stadium, and I did gigs like the NFL and Crashed Ice for what's the one that has the wings? Red Bull, all this stuff,
Mm,
very popular and all that. And then a little voice said to me, it's time. It's time to get on your divine path. So I sold everything, here's the success. And I'm like, and the stadiums all wanted me, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm like, no, no. And I sold everything. I quit everything, much to everybody's chagrin. And I sat down, this is in 2019, and I got real and serious and started to write my book about my experiences that I've been denying my whole life. As
hmm
I say, I've been hiding in the cosmic closet, and that is the truth. So I'm coming out now, and it's weird for me. I don't know. It's awkward, because everybody's like, oh, do you know this person or this, that, or the other thing? And I'm like, no, because I always try to stay away from a lot of input
mm.
because I knew I had my story and I wanted to keep that very clean, if that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I was an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur, most of my life. And I just had to stop it because, I'm getting old. I'm of a particular age. And before I forget everything, because I can't, like, I play pickleball and I can't even remember if I'm serving or what the score is. So I'm kind of like, um, my life has been so weird that, my sons, I mean, like, seriously, I mean, does anybody remember your mom's stories? Seriously, when your mom's talking, it's like,
Yeah.
meh, in one ear, out the other. Who
Yeah.
cares, really? And, they've heard it all or not. No, they haven't really heard it all. Anyway, but for my descendants, my grandchildren, at least, um, my grandmother passed away and she had the gift. And, I never was adult enough. I was a child when she passed. So I never got to have an adult conversation with her. So how can I leave a legacy for my descendants? I'm like, so first and foremost, my book is about my life and it's for my descendants. But other people are always like, oh, you're supposed to write this book, like readers or astrological people, like it's in your star chart. And I'm like, really? So I sat there going, I mean, literally, I was in so much denial that I was like, what would I write about? What's my book about? Like, such a dork. And then I was like, it was a Sunday afternoon, because Harry Potter is on, right? Always.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there watching Harry Potter. I'm like, like, what you got, Harry Potter? And then I was like, ooh, look at that judgment. I'm like, well, then maybe that's your book. Get real, and bring it out and own what you've been through. So right, that's my path, and that's what I'm stepping on. And I'm hoping I'm not too late. Oopsie, I think my I did something to my.
Nope, you didn't. It's okay. It wasn't
Oh,
you.
you.
It was
Oh
on
my
my end. It
God.
was on mine. You're good.
You're
Don't
scaring me.
panic.
Oh my
Don't
God.
panic. Everything's
Oh, the
fine.
aliens are coming again. Oh
They
my
are
God.
coming, but that's it.
God, it just got bright. Woo! The drugs are kicking in.
Oh no, not
Anyway,
for. Oh my gosh.
so it's like, yeah, so I just, I'm like, okay, it's time. And I didn't want to do any of this, so I'm reluctant. But here we are anyway. So thank you guys. It's so nice to meet you. And
Yeah,
both of you, your eyes are so beautiful. I'm sure
thank
the
you.
people who watch your show, both of you have got amazing eyes. So
I'm so
Oh,
anyway.
thank
tired. I don't know
you.
how that's possible, but I appreciate that, because
Well, anyway, it's nice to meet you and thank you for having me. I super appreciate it. This is a wonderful opportunity.
it's a pleasure. So let's get started with questions. You told us a little bit about your past. Tell us why you're on this journey, because for
Mm,
me, as we all know, the audience knows. By the way,
mm.
Bryson, I want to give a shout out. Bryson said that you look 35. I agree.
Oh,
You look way young. When you say you're getting older, we don't see it. So the chat's saying that you look younger than you are. So there's that.
62.
You're kidding
Oh,
me.
you look
Stop.
great.
Stop
No.
right now.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to.
Nope.
Listen, if we're gonna
Don't
begin
believe
this
Nope.
it.
with lies, we can't continue this.
No, it's so true. Hey, actually, I was 8 years old when this happened. We're going to talk about this one in a hot
Okay.
minute. But look at this. I don't know if you can actually
Yeah.
see the date on
Presidential
there.
visit. It's in 1970.
Yep.
No way. No
Yep. And
way.
that's me. That's my name.
That
Yeah,
is
I know.
awesome. You've been blessed,
Graduated in
okay? Yeah.
1980. Yeah, I know. That's probably because I worked a lot of nights. So I never saw.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm a sun lover, so I don't know. Sunscreen people. I mean, literally,
Oh
I
yeah.
started in the 70s, like wearing sunscreen on my face. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying. And exfoliating, all
Exfoliating.
those things.
I'm gonna work on
Exfoliating.
that. I'm gonna exfoliate tonight, all right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I said, I began the journey, but because of my experiences, which the audience is well aware of,
Mm,
so I'm not gonna rehash
mm,
those. Why did you
mm.
begin this journey? What is it that made you set out on this journey?
Oh
Just
Lord. Okay, so I was in the crib in my diapers, and the gray aliens started to visit. Yeah, so that was like very shocking. Um, and they visited for years. And, there was a whole process of that. I even gave them, I do remember giving them like tours of the house,
wow,
walking around, like a realtor.
wow.
So hilarious. But the really cool thing is, I'm going to say, I always was like, God, why are all these witnesses around? Like people who have witnessed the things that have happened to me. What's up with all the witnesses? And the voice was like, you're gonna need it. And I didn't get that at the time. But let's just say this. Okay, so here's these great aliens. And a lot of people see ships and stuff that are silent, but mine is okay, and I'm gonna tell you, I know about this Travis Walton guy because he
Mm,
was on like Ancient Aliens or one of
yeah.
these shows on TV. I was like, oh, dude, because he had vibrations and humming, and that's what was happening with the Greys when I was an infant.
Mm,
And the thing of it is, I'm kind of like doing crypt notes here. On Facebook, because I'm kind of new to Facebook too, and I had to do that when I got my food truck and everything. I just don't really like a lot of social media, but anyway. Shh. So I had to do it, and
yeah.
then this girl popped up, and it's like people you may know, and it was my backyard neighbor, and hadn't seen her since high school. We were no longer friends in sixth grade. You know how girls are, and you're not my friend anymore, or whatever. Anyway, but she's my spit sister, and because we didn't want to do blood, but we spit on our hands and like, I love you
Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
and it kind of worked. So anyway, I reached out to her. We met up at a restaurant, and she's just this normal muggle normie person. And all of a sudden, these words about the aliens started to come out of my mouth. And in that moment, I was like, don't say this. You're never going to see her again. She's going to think you're a weirdo, and oh
Mm,
my God, and you're crazy, and all these things. And so so one part of my brain is saying, oh my God, shut up. And the other part of my brain is like, what are we going to do? And she reached out her hand and she stopped me because I was kind of having a conniption. I think she could tell. She's like, Dana, it's okay. I remember the humming and the vibrations too.
mm,
And I was like, what?
wow.
So here I'm like, like in my late 50s, and my backyard neighbor confirmed that she remembered um, whatever was going on that night. And I want to say whatever because, to be fair, I didn't see a spacecraft. I mean, it could have been a vortex humming and vibrating. I don't know. I can't say to you they came from the Greys who were in my window as an infant were on a ship. I don't know. I didn't see it. But Jenny Jo and I both experienced a humming and vibration, and this happened every time they would visit. Now, also to be fair, I didn't remember every time they visited, but after each visitation, I would be physiologically transformed. Like I would be different. Like I could affect things, like electrical things as a child. So often I would remember their visitations, but I knew many times that I didn't remember the visitation, but I knew I was transformed. So I'm like, oh, they must have visited me. And the whatever little weird oddities that I had would last for about 2 or 3 days and it would fade away. And I'm just going to kind of fast forward a little bit. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old. I lived across the street from a lake, Lock Lake. You can look it up, and it goes into the Mississippi River. And there's a train trestle, and so we go down to the lake. This is the 60s, so parents are, in there. The moms are ironing, smoking cigarettes, and on their phones, whatever. And anyway, the kids are out running around like whatever, animals. And so we're down by the lake, and I'm looking at the water, and all of a sudden, it's broad daylight. All of a sudden, I'm like at the lake, and then I'm boop up the hill of this house, which is by the trestle, by the train tracks. Boop. And then, and it's gray aliens. And they're about my height, maybe a little taller. I'm 4 or 5 years old, but I'm a precocious child, meaning precocious children are a little bit taller,
Right.
grow up a little bit faster. And so, anyway, and then boop, I'm back down by the water. And I was kind of upset, like, hey, I kind of was looking up the hill again, like, hey guys, come out and play. Like that moment in E.T. with that little boy. He's like, oh, friends, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever he was doing. Like, come and play. I kind of had that thing, because I was like, finally somebody can see these guys with me. But then all of a sudden I realized I had a sharp pain in my like upper fanning kind of area.
Mm.
Like it hurt, like somebody stuck a stick in it. And so I just kind of was like a little shocked. I'm like, I think I got to go home. So I ran off, went home, jumped up onto the countertop in the bathroom to take a look. And sure enough, there was like a scoop
Mm.
outside, of skin missing.
Mm.
No bleeding, just like this little divot. And then let's fast forward to this is in like probably 1995 or something like that, in the house I'm living in now, because I've been here for 33, 34 years. And my neighbor, who's been here just as long, down at the end of the block, and this is the beginning of my book, we're sitting there chatting by the garbage cans in her driveway. And I'm just kind of like picking at the back of my neck. And we're talking because I'm thinking there's a zit back there. And you know how you do that? So you're having a conversation, but part of your brain is thinking about something else, like, oh, I'm preoccupied with the zit. And then I'm not talking to her, and like I'm doing this, and I'm like thinking there's going to be some bit of pus on my finger.
Right.
And I'm kind of looking at it, and it's a sidebar from her and I actually talking. And then I look, and it was a black square, look almost like a metal screen or something like that.
Mm.
And it wasn't crumble. I thought it was going to be dirt, but it wasn't, because I was like pressing on it really strongly with my thumb and forefinger and then I'm like looking at it, and then my neighbor, her name is Linda, she paused as well. She's like, did that just come out of your neck? And I'm like, yeah. And she examines the back of my neck, and she's looking at my finger, and then she takes the piece and puts it on her finger, and she's pressing on it, and it doesn't crumble. And then it's on her finger, and we're both looking at it. And then in that moment, this is, a little bit of time, and it just dissolved. And then we were like in
That's so
shock.
weird. Yeah.
So, well, but I gotta say, I don't know if it had to be an implant. She goes, "Is that a microchip?" And I'm like, I don't even know. And so, like, this is like phones were like flip phones back then,
Right.
like 1995,
Yeah.
like, brah.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that. So anyway, you know, could that have been the thing that was in my rear end? Did it travel up my neck, or was that independent of that? But the cool thing is, Linda and I had just met her, and I was just because I moved here about like 1990, 89, 90. And she was so great because she was one of the first people that I met that I could actually speak my truth about, you know, the things that have gone on in my life. And she, we were woo-woo people, we were a little bit weird. And it was so lovely to be able to talk to her. And I told her about the aliens, and she said, well, there's this woman. You can go to her, and she does implant extractions, etheric, and not really physical. But I'm like, okay, whatever. So I paid the money and I went and saw this woman and I did a number of sessions. So when this implant came out, we were both like, holy moly, like it worked, like it worked.
Mm.
But wait, I got to tell you a little bit of something. Going back to the lake to where those aliens were during the daytime, which was the one and only time I've seen them in daytime or whatever. But it wasn't until I was writing my book and going through everything and putting myself back in that moment that I realized that property was owned by my dad's boss. And
This is getting
I
interesting.
know.
Yeah, this is
But
getting
here's the weird thing. I'm loving this. This is okay, so I wrote my book and I'm getting out there and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden one day I got a phone call. Don't hang up, don't hang up. I'm like, okay, because like I wasn't normally, if I don't know the phone number, I don't answer it.
right.
And but I was waiting for a healthcare call. So I did. And the guy's like, don't hang up. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm like, okay, you're still cool. And then he's like, is your dad so and so? And I'm like, yeah. And so then this man tells me the biggest bullshit story I've ever. Is it okay to swear a little bit?
Okay.
The biggest bullshit story I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, oh. And in that moment, because like my voice or my intuition, where I'm like, oh, he's CIA or the Alliance or something. Oh my God, this is so good. And oh, are we okay?
We're good. We're good. You're fine.
Okay, I heard a beep.
Nope, you can. We can hear. I don't know what it was, but we can
Did
hear you.
okay. Okay, sometimes when I do podcasts, I get this beep, so I know they're tracking me, whatever. Anyway, so it's that same beep. This is so weird. Anyway, okay, so it's like a Friday. So I go the next day and he's very particular about what time of day and all this kind of stuff. He's like, oh, I bought this desk 30 years ago and there was a file behind the drawers and it's about your dad. And I'd been praying for like pictures of my dad with like Hubert Humphrey because there's a lot of political stuff that's involved here, people.
Mm.
And I'm like, God, I wish I had a picture. My dad died in 2010. Okay. And we just got rid of everything because it was just chaotic. And I'm like, I wish I had a picture of my dad with Hubert Humphrey. That would be so good with my book and all this stuff. And here comes this file out of nowhere. And in the file, it's got a picture of my dad with Hubert Humphrey.
Well,
In the file, okay, when my dad died in 2010, my sister and I, there's the hearse and we're preparing and it's, all this solemn moment, outside of the church. Man comes up to me and my sister and he goes, I don't know why they fired your dad. Um, because he changed the supercomputer.
mm.
And I looked at my sister and I'm like, see, I told you. Because that was the first moment of confirmation. I'm like, they traded me for alien technology. Okay, this is what this
Hold
is.
on one second.
And
Did you write this in your book?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
When was it? When did you publish the book? Just a
Last year, last April.
timing. Okay.
Yeah. And
I
so
got.
like this dude, I mean like the Alliance or the White Hats or the CIA, like whatever this guy is, like not the normal CIA, but whatever, like whatever. Anyway, so I'll see, I think I'm getting out there, so somebody heard it and they're releasing this file. And in the file are papers of my dad's or about my dad from 1960, and they say secret. And there's like the Wright Patterson thing. Like I'm just finding out like my dad was at Hangar 81 and all this kind of stuff and talking to
Oh,
NASA
wow.
and all this kind of stuff. I know. And then there's a picture. Oh God, here's the file. See, here's the file. It's clean. If you know what, I have kids, my kids are just turning 30. If this file had been behind a desk drawer for 30 years, there would be that gray dust bunny scum on there,
Yeah.
and there's no gray dust bunny scum. But there's all these things. And there's a picture in here. Well, I've got it on my Facebook page, whatever, of the supercomputer. I didn't even know what it was, but I'm starting to find, like, now that I'm out, like, other, like, guys who are in the military and other nerdy men and whatever. I'm like, hey, dude, what is this? And they're like, oh, that's the computer part. I'm like, could this be the supercomputer? And they're like, yeah. So it's like confirmation after confirmation after confirmation
Wow.
of like, yeah. And I mean, like just recently, I'm like,
So
thank
what
you.
year would this have been that you're telling me in 1960 that he or this
Six.
was
Well,
a
okay.
supercomputer or because that seemed
This file starts from about 1959, 1960, and it goes to 2006 or 2008. So
oh
I'm like,
wow.
dude, so this guy was supposed to be an IT guy. And I'm like, that's about 20 years ago. 30 years. I'm sorry, you're an IT guy and you're missing a decade or something. It just everything that he said was wrong. It was off because he said he bought the desk from Sperry Univac. Sperry Univac wasn't even around 30 years ago. And the file also goes to where my dad was working at Medtronics. I'm like, I seriously doubt Medtronics had um, old office furniture from Sperry Univac from
Mm.
30, 40 years ago. I'm like, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's just like a baloney story. But in this file, it's disclosure to me that my dad was involved with Roswell, that my dad was involved with NASA, that I'm like, who were you, Dad? And he never said, I'm like, right? I mean, like,
This is
because everybody,
crazy. So
Yeah,
you're
this
just
is.
finding this out and this is after he's already
yes,
gone. Did you guys have any
yes.
inkling at all that, that
No, no, but I'm gonna tell you something even weirder. Okay, so because like the dude was like, okay, so my dad, I remember the morning, okay, oh my God, I have so much to tell you. I can't even,
We got
because we
time.
got to get
We
into.
got time.
I know, but I'm so excited because
you're
the
like
name
me? I,
tag.
I
We're
love
gonna
it.
get back to the name tag because this is gonna loop into the name tag. Because did you see it said presidential visit, special guest? Okay, so let's hang on to this. Okay, so there was one morning, probably about the same time, maybe a couple years after the name tag. I'm thinking maybe I was in like sixth or seventh grade. My dad was, usually, like he'd get up and go to work and blah, 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 blah. But this morning he was disheveled. He was in his pajamas, eating cereal or whatever. I'm like, oh, what's going on, Dad? Why aren't you at work? And he goes, oh, I quit my job. So the family story was he quit his job to be an entrepreneur. I had never even heard the word entrepreneur, but I was kind of thinking, if you were going to be an entrepreneur, wouldn't I see these entrepreneur things happening in the household? Are you talking about it? I was calling bullshit. I'm like in seventh grade, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Okay, so dad said he quit. The guy at the funeral in 2010 says they fired him. And then I get this file. Oh my God. And I'm getting the chills because I'm going to be doing a talk at an event in Florida and in July. But there's a lot of people that were at Montauk. And the gentleman there was a gentleman that told me, this is the supercomputer and blah, blah. And he was involved, not involved like they put him in Montauk. I think my dad quit and they fired him because of everything that was going on, which you kind of don't really know about, because I think they wanted me to go to Montauk. And my dad said, F you, you're not taking my daughter. Because right about that time, I remember, and this is not in the book or blah, 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 all of a sudden I remembered they brought me to the doctor's office and they started to try to put me on depressants, this oral liquid stuff. And I wouldn't take them. And my mom, she was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And she's, watching Phil Donahue or whatever. She kind of forgot because I'm like, why am I being put on depressants? So I kind of think they were going to send me off to Montauk. And my dad said, no. I'm like, you could do all this other alien stuff, but this is too much. And so I think he quit and they fired him at the same time. So I'm kind of like, that's like the biggest thing that's just kind of like
Yeah. So
I'm discovering.
you discovered a lot of this after your father passed away. You never got a chance to talk to him.
No. Oh, I tried to talk to my mom and dad because like they were, it was getting to the end. That's a whole nother long story. And I'm like, did you guys ever see aliens or have any alien contact? And they're like, no, nope, nope. But to be fair, because there's a lot of this, I don't know like if there's a bunch of MK Ultra stuff, mind washing things. I even write in my book because my dad was in the Korean War. And then they just kept keeping him. He was a radio operator behind the enemy lines, and then he got lost, which was a good thing because when they got out the next day, his whole unit was wiped out and gone. Here's the other thing. I gotta tell you all these things as when they're coming into my head. So in our basement of our house, we had this unit. It was about this big by this big, just kind of like a little, like a, I don't know, a little bit bigger DVD player, or I don't even know, this thing like this big, and it had dials, whatever. And you could turn it on and go, it had a microphone and stuff like that. And I'm like, Dad, what is this? And he said, well, I can talk to people from around the world. Like I talked to this guy in Australia and this other guy in Japan and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't think anything of it until recently, because it's kind of like my brain is like, I'm starting to click now that the book is out and all these weird informational pieces are coming and bringing back memories. So I also talked to this man who knew the picture was the supercomputer. I told him the story. I'm like, okay, we had this radio in the basement and my dad could talk to Australia or people around the world. I said, but all of a sudden I'm realizing there was no cable. If this is ham radio, you would have a big tower, something. You don't put a radio like that in a middle of a basement and talk to Australia. And my friend goes, "Oh, that was a clamshell radio." And he goes, "He must have been high up. He must have been, special ops if he had a clamshell radio. Because like, yeah, you don't need a tower. Like that's black ops stuff." And then
Wow.
I laugh because guess what? I can't tell you how many times back in the 60s and 70s, my dad would have guys come over. They would like drink a whole case of beer or whatever by themselves and
Yeah.
just get blotto. And I would sit there as a girl. I mean, how unusual to sit there with grown men getting drunk off their butts. Um, and I was privy to be there with them, hear their stories. So many black op military men as a child would confess to me things, which also speaks to me that I wonder if I was, and I know some of you are going to get this,
Mm.
for some time because I have okay, now we're going to get weird. I have been on the sky ships. I have been privy to the sky ships, the sky ripping open and the ships coming in. I write about all that in the book. Uh, and I just discovered, I talked to this woman last week. She goes, because I thought I was just hiding in the cargo areas. And she goes, no, you probably worked the cargo areas. I'm like, well, that makes sense. So, so I did all that, but then also I did it on the waterways. So you should know that there's the trilateral and all of the governments. There's also water operations that are going on, which is why also when I saw God, I know I'm saying a lot because I want to tell you so much. I was watching the Netflix show Three Body Problem,
Awesome.
and there was
Absolutely amazing.
a moment with this ship going through the
Yep.
canal, the Panama Canal, and it was like, I was there because it like, oh shit, I've seen that background. I've been there because I remember being on a water ship and then going through the cafeteria and looking at that background. And when I saw
Oh,
that
wow.
movie, yeah, so there's so much disclosure that happens on TV, of course,
Absolutely.
and I'm like, oh my God. And so the thing of it is that everybody needs to know dream time is just as important and just as real, or OBEs and all this kind of stuff as our 3D time. And so I'm really coming to the grips of and trying to learn, and I know it's going to explode. Like when I start to dig into these things, whatever, like praying for a picture of my dad with Hubert Humphrey, I'm going to get more information. I know I am. People are going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to help me remember and discover the things that I did. Because I talk about the first time that I saw the sky ships. Okay, wait. Before we get into that, we got to go back to this name tag because I'm going to forget it, right? Okay, we're talking about my dad. We're talking about the military, and we go back, and here it is. We got the presidential visit. So I was 8 years old, and the crazy thing is, I put a picture in my book of me, Jenny Joe, at that age. It was that summer. It was that time frame, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I have a picture of myself from this time frame because we didn't take a lot of pictures. Anyway. So my parents took me out of school. I live in the Twin Cities. We drive down to Rochester. We go to the airport, and I kind of knew it was like for a presidential pep rally or something. Um, we go into the airport. We get these name tags. We walk out onto the tarmac. We're waiting, waiting, waiting. I'm 8 years old, waiting. And up rolls Air Force One. Okay, here comes Air Force One, and all sexy like. It's not at a gate, it's just in the middle of the tarmac.
Right.
And out comes Pat Nixon and Tricky Dick. And he was the president. So here comes the president and the first lady, right? And I'm with these adults, and everybody just kind of parts. And Pat Nixon walks up to me, and let me tell you, it's in the middle of the day. There aren't really any other children there. Right? No, there's no other real children there. She walks up to me and hands me a red long stem rose and then just walks off.
Oh,
I think
wow.
she might have said like blah blah blah. But anyway, then comes there wasn't any TV there, but there was the newspapers and the radio, and they interviewed me like, who are you, little girl? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm kind of like, wow, is this a Sub Rosa thing? Is this a Masonic symbol? Because this is about the same time I feel like my time with the Greys, I think, was over with. And I feel like my sky operation stuff, that's when that started. So, okay, Greys are over with. I see the president. I get the Sub Rosa, and I'm in my really creepy nightgown back then. It was kind of like Little House on the Prairie with these wild, patterns. It was just so weird. These long dresses that we wore at night. And I found myself on the front lawn wearing my nightgown. I remember the dewy grass and all this stuff. And here comes the shaking, the vibration again. Like the whole ground shook and everything was shaking, vibration, frequency. And the sky ripped open, and that's when the big ships started to come in. And that was the first time I literally saw the big ships come in. And what I'm going to describe, and I could be wrong in this, but what I would describe as the white hats had smaller ships meeting them like, hey, what are you guys doing here? So it was the first time I saw these ships, this embattlement. So fast forward to when Reagan was talking about Star Wars and stuff like that. In my book, I get into the very peculiar language that he talks about, like saving the humans and stuff like that. I'm like, so when he was saying this, I was like freaking out, where everybody else is like, oh, he's probably talking about the Soviet Union and stuff like that. And like, we already had a treaty with the Soviet Union about the Star Wars and stuff like that. And they just had he had such galactic language that he was using. I got it, but civilians didn't get that, so it was upsetting to me. But anyway, so yeah. And then I was told, because, I get told things, higher power said, oh, because, I'm watching the sky rip open with this vibration and all this kind of stuff. And they said, yeah. Here's the thing. The didgeridoo, the Tibetan monks, the throat singing, these, epic longhorns, the whole.
Yeah.
vibration, vibration. So when these indigenous people were doing this, what they were trying to do, they were trying to rip open the sky.
So
They were trying to
interesting.
open the
Yeah,
vortex to create the
Oh, that makes
wormhole.
sense.
that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So it
Uh,
wasn't because I always thought the didgeridoo, oh, they were like, they were going in, they were meditating, like doing their own kumbaya thing.
Yeah,
No,
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 that makes
no.
sense. Yes,
Right?
yes.
what
I
gets me,
know.
this is fascinating. Honestly, I had
Oh,
no idea. So
yes.
I got to give the audience a little bit of context because
Mm,
everybody knows me. I'm a very logically, left brain kind of guy who's just, trying to figure things out. But I will tell you, if you're paying close attention, I was looking for a few minutes ago, for like 10 minutes, I was looking for, while you were talking about that, Elizondo posted sometime, I believe, last year. Um, I don't want to get this wrong because I don't like misquoting anybody, but there was a post that he made about a person who claimed to be a part of, as a child, the secret space program,
yeah.
where he missed years. And this is ironic because
Yeah.
he discovered boxes of documents from his father's after his
Mm,
father passed in his basement. And this is not, you guys got to check this out, please. Like, just look into this yourself. This guy discovered boxes of documents in his father's basement, and through that discovery,
mm,
there was an article written about this too. He discovered that he missed a large chunk of his childhood. They
mm,
were taking him. He does not
mm.
remember it, and he thinks this is his belief that he was a part of the secret space program.
Yeah.
Now, there's an entire book about this, a couple of them.
Mm,
There's a series about this secret space program and other and I guess our agreement with these different alien races. And I know what you're thinking. I think and I thought the same thing. It's at least interesting to look into it,
mhm,
but there's an entire, according to this theory, like unspoken, unknown, massive effort
mm,
to, in conjunction with these different alien races, explore the universe,
mm.
participate in wars, human
Oh, yeah.
slavery on other planets. I'm
Yes.
not saying it's real, but I will tell you it is notable. And if you're done experiencing it, you can't say you know or don't. You just have to listen and take this information as data. But your experience. I 100% believe that at the very least you're telling the truth about what you
Mm,
think about this experience. I can't say I wasn't there, but I'm
right.
with you. I'm with you on this. I think this is so fascinating. It correlates with this, but also in Tom DeLonge's book, guys. This is so interesting how this relates. The fiction version of it, he said that it's kind of like a fiction that a fact is buried inside of.
Mhm.
There's a
Yeah.
girl whose father passes away, and she tells a very similar story about discovering that her father was a CEO at this company. And I don't want to give the story away, but long story short, he was working on classified programs with the government through this corporate entity, and there was a whole conspiracy, and they wanted to off him, and he
Mm.
claims that this is like it's based off true story, but it's put in a fiction sense, so he can cover and mask too much of the details. It's so you're just like
You
really
know what, if you
sparking
look
my
into it
attention.
though,
Yeah,
yeah, like Tony Rodriguez,
Tony.
he'll talk about the Freemasons and how like how to deal and for 20 years of his life and the time how he like coexisted. He'd be a great person
You
for,
guys, yeah. I'm just
yeah,
telling the chat, please listen carefully, pay attention,
definitely.
because if you miss something, these stories that seem outlandish, they start to correlate, and you start
Yeah.
to
Oh
wonder, oh
yeah.
my gosh, why are there
Right.
so many? You see her talking about this, but there are many people who have mentioned this very similar story,
Mm.
very similar.
Yeah. And I don't believe in anything. I mean, literally, like, I'm like, I don't believe in it. But if I experience something, then I was like, okay. And
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time because I'm telling you, if you read my book, like, there's just so much. That is why I stayed in the cosmic closet hiding because I'm like, who's going to believe me? The minute you say these things, all your credibility goes
yeah,
away,
yeah.
I gotta stop for
Oh
also
yeah.
go back to that flight with Pat Nixon
Hmm.
because the voice told me to go look at the presidential diaries. I'm like, presidential diaries? So boop, 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 went and looked at the presidential diary, found that day, found the flight manifests. Okay. Pat Nixon is not on the flight manifest. Number one person on the flight. Everybody can go and Google this.
Yeah.
Presidential diaries go to whatever, the October 29th or whatever. I can't. I don't have to go. I'm such a boomer. What the hell?
Oh my God.
Boomer.
You're
I
so
love
great.
it.
You're
Um,
fantastic. Yeah.
October 29th, 1970. You know, and I remember it was a dismal day, but it says the president. I got the whole list right here. Where is it? Like, oh, where did I go? Anyway, um, it says the president, and then says like everybody, Haldeman, like all these people, just like nobodies. There's like 32 people or 42 people on the list or something like that. Oh, it's over there. Anyway, Pat Nixon is not on any of the flights. There were different junkets. They came in from like Milwaukee, but she's not on there, which also says to me, why is she not on there? And she's handing out roses.
Mm.
Anyway, and getting back to this, Ender's Game.
Love it.
I just recently saw Ender's Game.
Oh my God.
Children
So good.
doing space
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you know, like here's my thing. Children, like it's we don't think about children as much as we should and protecting them because the galactic universe is interested in them. If we're being off-worlded as children and used for our potential and all this kind of stuff, I mean, children, just hug your babies, people. Just hug and protect your babies because that's what they want. And now that I'm past menopause, like nobody gives a crap
Oh my
about
God,
me
yeah.
except for, but I do have to get into, they took two species took my DNA. We have to get into that part too. And they're the same species that Whitley Strieber saw. And I didn't even know that until a couple months ago. Again, because I'm starting to watch like Ancient Aliens. I'm like, holy crap, what? Yeah, I'm like, and shape shifting. We have to get into that. We have to get into holograms, And let me tell you, nobody's sitting in a tin can doing traveling space. I'm like, that whole baloneyism, like NASA, it's all fake. So anyway,
Thank you.
Dune, folding
Thank
time and
you,
space,
yeah.
Star Trek. This is how it
Yes,
goes. It's frequency,
I
people.
feel
Hello,
like
wake up.
I need to do a show after this show just to talk about the philosophical and scientific like backing of what she's talking about. There's a lot that goes
Yeah.
on that it's so
Yeah.
It's crazy though when she says frequency. My first experience that I had with the UFO, the phone lines, like telephone line, were like waving, like somebody was just taking them and shaking them, and so I said it's unbelievably insane. I can totally relate to that. So
there's a Theory of Everything podcast if you guys will listen. The last four guests that he had on talk about the nature. Well, there's a few you got to kind of look for the nature of reality ones, and is our something about our reality and how we perceive our reality isn't necessarily the same for all of us. First of all, but secondly, that there's and it's interesting because the last episode I listened to, I think this one was actually a year ago. It talks about an underlying intelligence under reality. It's like beneath reality, and so there's a lot that like scientists, renowned physicists, some of the most genius individuals in the world are there. You could say they're pontificating, but they're theorizing and they're thinkers. They're the ones that are doing the math behind this stuff. They are seconding some of the things that the mystics have been talking about for thousands of years.
Oh, hello, the
So it's,
Hindus. Come on, man. The Hindus have got it going on. Hinduism, the Brahmas having different dreams,
Yeah.
that is having different Big Bang ideas and stuff. Yeah, it's all there. Yeah. And so we do
can I stop you really quick right there?
Yeah.
Because you said something before I found really fascinating. It's like you said in your wake world, or when you're awake and when you're sleeping, they're equally important. And like not
more
just
important.
like the OBEs, like the
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by that since you touched on it again? I just wanted to.
Well, see, here we are in the United States, and our culture is very differently driven. More indigenous cultures, they value dream time, the dream world, way more than we do, which is respectful because I have a belief system because God, I have so much to tell you. I mean, I got brought up to heaven one night, we are souls and we're inhabiting the shell. Okay. So when we go to sleep, we're kind of offline. It's kind of like I'm a human, I'm a body, and then I get in a car. The car can come, I can get in a different car and a different car and buy a new car or trade it for an old car. That's kind of what our bodies are. It's our soul. And we're a part of, to me and my belief system, part of the divine spark, however you want to look at that, blah, 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 blah. So that is the main work, is the work that you do. And other cultures honor that. We don't. But see, that's part of the programming. Because if we knew that our dreams, the frequency and the vibration of that, which is also to me the power of prayer. Because people will pray, I'm like, I'll pray for you, Cindy. But they're kind of like, I'm going to pray for
Yeah.
you. And they don't really think that their prayer does anything. But yes, thought, word, and deed, the vibration of that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, I just was like thinking last night, I'm like, it is so unbelievable to be a human in this 3D body, because mostly a lot of these other entities and other worlds, they're more etheric, they're more vibrational. It is something to be this dense. It is hard to be this dense, but it really truly is. And I mean, like, and we bumble along and, or whatever and blah, blah, blah. But it truly is a blessing to be this dense and on this planet, because it is a rarity. It really is rare. And when you wrap your head about the power that we have, and that is the problem, is that power of who and how we are is being systematically taken away from us. And let's just go, I'm just going to be political for one hot moment. Like, people are getting like all mad at yoga. Okay, I said it. But when the British,
Yoga is
yes,
political?
yeah.
What the
Well,
heck?
Wow,
What did I
have you been on
miss?
Facebook? Anyway, I know people are saying yoga is evil, but that goes back to Britannia, because when the British invaded India, all the Hindis and the yogis and all the masters, they couldn't be shaken. They couldn't be shaken because they were true unto themselves. They were true unto the universe. They were galactic beings. And here comes these British soldiers. Well, they had to diss everything these people were thinking and doing, because they needed to control them. Because how do you control them? Because they were in their minds. They were galactic. They were amazing. They're like, you and your gun, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing, and that is the truth. That is the truth. That's so much. And so, being etheric or whatever, one night I all of a sudden was above the planet, and it looked like a circle. I'm just saying, looked like a big circle. And
It's not flat? What?
I'm sorry. It could have been flat, but it looked in a circular
Oh,
flat
man,
thing.
my whole worldview is over.
Anyway, I'm
She
sorry.
didn't say sphere. She
Oh,
did not
cut
say
her off,
sphere.
Kara.
Yeah,
Whoa,
no, I
get the
love
hook.
it. Keep
Yeah, whatever.
going.
Anyway, so I was up there, and so every time I like meet like a holy being or something like that, they talk like nobody talks like Charlton Heston. If they do, I'm gonna be like, something's wrong with you. Anyway, so I'm above the planet, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I hear this dude like talking, and of course Dana is not paying any attention, because I'm like, well, oh, you're talking to me? Oh, what? He's like, hey, yeah, we come out here, we have classes, you can come out and attend the classes. I'm like, seriously, classes at night? Yeah, we have big classes. And actually, I did do that with Linda and my other neighbor. So you literally can do these classes. The three of us attended, and we were able to talk about our dreams afterwards. And that's a whole other thing. You can do that. Join your friends in dream time. You can do that. Anyway, I give you permission. And so he's talking to me. He goes, you don't believe me, do you? And I'm like, no. And this was the time when we first started to use area codes. That's how old I am. And because I mean, like,
You are
7
so
digits.
much fun. I
Oh,
feel like you should be like a preschool teacher or kid or something, because you would be like the funnest person ever.
oh,
That'd be
thank
cool.
you. Yeah, I had fun with my kids, man. That was good times, because I'm like, you people get me. I'm like, let's have some
I
fun.
love
Let's
it.
rip it up. I know, I know, kids. They're like, hey, mom, because when we saw School of Rock or whatever, like, Jack Black, and mom, that reminds me of you. And then like when Elf came, they're like, mom, that reminds makes me Indian. And I'm like, yo, thank you. It makes me so happy. Hey, because you know what? If you saw Great Aliens when you were a baby, you'd be rejoiceful too and want to like enjoy this lifetime, right? So anyway, back to this. So here's this dude, and he's like, and then I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't have fingers or notepads. And I'm like, what? You have an area code? And where's that? And he's like, California. I'm like, dude, I can't remember that. And he's like, well, I'll call you. And I'm like, okay, here's my number, 651, blah, blah, blah. Well, he didn't leave a voicemail, so he probably forgot to. Yeah, my point taken. Thank you. But anyway, so we're chatting away, and then all of a sudden, okay, this had to be like 1989 or whatever. It was before that movie Contact with, Jodie Foster and all that.
Great
All of a
movie.
sudden, so we're hovering and we're arguing, which is what makes me know this is real because we're arguing, anyway. All of a sudden, I'm like, and I'm going through a wormhole. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm traveling for a while, and all of a sudden, boom. And I'm in the edge of space. I'm at the edge of space. So there's an edge of space where there are no stars. No stars. This is so great. This is so great. Because I wrote about this in the book, but I didn't know what was going on. Now I do. Okay, I'm at the edge of space, and here in front of me, like my whole vision is this crystalline skull. There's these little points of light that make the form of a skull, kind of like the Masked Singer, like how they have the skulls. Or Tron, these creepy skulls, man. This is the thing. But I was like, oh, is this Metatron or is this a law? What kind of being is this? So like I'm thinking that now or when I'm writing the book or whatever. Anyway, so I'm talking to this dude, this crystal skull, and towards the end of the conversation, I'm like, well, how did I get out here? And it said intelligence. And I said to it, my intelligence or something? Because I'm like, what? I'm smart, intelligent. Like, what do you mean by intelligence? Like your intelligence or like military intelligence or intelligence? Okay. So then recently, a couple of months ago, I'm like, Dana, duh. Okay. Artificial intelligence. Because artificial intelligence has been around since the beginning of time. Because if there's God intelligence, then there has to be the opposite, artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is galactic and it's always been around. We're discovering it now. But this is a bigger thing than people think about. And I was like, holy smokes. That was artificial intelligence. And if you think about crystals, because they got all these crystal skulls around and all that kind of stuff. And it was years later, like 10 years later, all of a sudden, like Leonard Nimoy had this show, like I can't remember what it was, but that was the first time I saw like these crystal skulls, like how they found this thing in the jungle and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I called all my girls and I was like, oh my God, crystal skulls are real. Oh my God. And some people say that they're fake or whatever. I don't even know. I'm not gonna go there. But then I was watching Indiana Jones and they had the Temple of Doom or the crystal skull thing. And I didn't even watch the whole movie. I watched like the last couple of minutes of it. And he's in like some temple and there's like all these beings or like they're just statues. And apparently there was like some crystal skull and they put the skull on the last statue. And then all these beings got up and then they made one big gray alien. I'm like, of course they did. What the heck? Are you what? And then they zoom off into space. I'm like, of course, more disclosure. Hollywood knows all about this stuff. Whatever. I'm going to just drink my tea.
I've never thought about it. I said in some of my experiences that I know just drink my tea. That's so funny. But I said the technology wasn't there, but then I see the technology now and I'm thinking, man, the holographic things, how they experience memories, it's like going through and they're actually there and recreate it. And you're right. I guess I didn't put that AI like that didn't click ever.
Yeah, well, me
that
too.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that's out there that talks about the fact that, or the idea, I should say, that these beings are not actually. Well, David Grush, when he was at the hearing, and he testified under oath, he said that there's a theory that they are like another dimension. They're in another dimension. They're casting. The closest analogy you can give is that it's like if you're casting a shadow and you are the being, the shadow is just it's just a shadow of you. But somehow that shadow has like intelligence and it can move and can operate in a two-dimensional space.
Mm,
To a two-dimensional creature, it looks like, oh my gosh, look, it's a thing. That's not even the actual source of the shadow is just a it's just a shadow. It's not the source of what we're looking at. And so when we look at these beings, whether they be gray or reptilian or whatever, maybe we're not actually seeing what they are. We're seeing a representation of something completely different. So when you mention artificial intelligence and you're talking about intelligence and you're saying that it's been here, there's God and there's the opposite. Maybe these a lot of these things they're created, they're so advanced to us they seem organic because we think of things from a technological perspective, inanimate objects, but these things have true organic creations that they've
right.
input a fake an artificial intelligence that we can't even fathom. That's kind of how I've come to see what you're talking about.
And I want to add to
Come
that.
on, let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
Well,
let's hear
because
it. Yeah.
okay, because like at the beginning of my book, I'm like, hey, humans, like we're so benighted, like our eyesight sees less than 1%, less than 1%. People, like I
Yes.
don't even know if you can get glasses that are less than 1%. Like Ray Charles sees more than 1%. Like he does
Oh.
anyway. Um, but
Oh no.
I'm sitting underneath me, under my house,
Yeah.
and I say this in my book, are worms, okay? They're worms. And I call us earthworms. I do. I call us humans earthworms because there's worms underneath me right now. Okay.
Mhm.
That worm doesn't know about this microphone. That worm doesn't know about Doritos. That worm doesn't know about a pillow. I mean, it doesn't know about the internet.
Right.
And so when I was a little girl, I kind of saw this. I'm like, okay, that nature shows us realms within realms and like how it's all true, these circles and circles, and that's why the earth is around. Anyway, so I'm kind of like, can it, and there's ghosts and stuff like that and angels, and I've encountered all these weird beings and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so can we not be like worms? Can there not be other worlds that are on top of us right now that we don't know about?
So real quick,
And I mean,
just
if you
for the
take some
audience,
DMT, you're gonna
yeah,
see it.
for
You're,
for
you
the
know.
audience, what she's referring to is the idea that there's a multi-dimension where
Mhm.
we would be if we were to shift the spectrum of light or vibration or whatever of the frequency that we're operating on now, we would see an entirely different world operating with entirely different physics, with
Mhm.
entirely different intelligent creatures and beings, and they're all occupying essentially the same space, but they're just on a different frequency. So that's
Mhm.
what she means by that. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was when you said about worms, there's a bit of fear that kind of goes through me because if you watch the Three Body Problem, do you remember the last thing that they said? You
No.
are bugs.
Oh yeah, I did.
You are
Yeah,
what?
no, yeah, you are bugs. Yeah, I did. I caught that
Oh.
because I'm like,
I
no,
thought you were
I'm
going to
not.
talk about
I
the
said no. I go
tapeworm. I
like, it's
No,
forgot.
worms. Yeah, we're
the
worms.
last
Yeah,
thing
but then
that
we're food. Yeah.
the last
Oh god.
episode, and I'm not going to give away the plot because it's
No,
really
I
interesting.
yes.
But the last thing they said on every screen in every language was
Hmm.
"You are
Are
bugs."
bugs. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. It's completely true. It's
Yeah.
completely true.
Well, you think about it. I mean, all of this is so sophisticated, and to think that your dad had access to all this
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
Do you think your mom or anybody else knew? And then you said too, going back, I'm curious that they would kind of get enamored of other people, and they would confide in you. What kind of things
Right.
would they tell you that? Where you're like, whoa, this is
Mm.
weird, or this person's just drunk, or was there ever anything that,
She's got tea. Spill it.
Yeah,
yes,
I got more tea. Yeah.
yeah.
So a lot of the stuff, even my dad, because like my brother, who's 14 years older, and my sister, my dad never confessed and told them his military stories. And I've met other girlfriends who have black boyfriends or whatever, and they squirrel me to the side like nobody knows, and then they tell me their stories and stuff like that. And it's like, why? Why do these men, especially some little blonde girl, like why are you telling her these huge stories of
Yeah.
grotesque things? Okay. All right. So I don't really remember them because it's just kind of like it was almost like a confessional. Like, why are they confessing to me? I don't know. But anyway, so probably
Do you
about
think they
10.
felt bad for maybe what had happened or some of the things that were going on with you? Because
No,
was
I mean,
you
like,
more of an experiment? Like, do you think your dad put you in that
oh,
place or?
yeah, because like they brought me to cocktail parties and stuff like that during political things. Like, why are you bringing me around? Like,
Yeah.
it was very strange. Anyway, no, these random men. But I mean, throughout my life, random military people would confess to me or whatever. Anyway, so the best one I got is I'm at a graduation party and it's like right over there, like a half a mile walk from here is just, like a 5 minute walk from my house.
Mm.
A guy that grew up with my husband, we're at his son's graduation party, and we're sitting at the table, and in Minnesota, like out east, they don't really do graduation parties like we do in Minnesota. In Minnesota, we have food, and then you donate money to the grad student to help them and all this kind of stuff. So you sit there and there's beer and all this kind of stuff. And so it was the grandpa, and he's got like his retired military hat on. I'm like, oh, thank you for service and stuff like that. And then he starts to get into his cups, and he's like, talking about Afghanistan, like we should throw a bomb into like the camps,
Well,
the prison, all these camps and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, is anybody else hearing this shit? Is anybody like this guy's talking like, because you're like, oh, we could bomb them and no one would know. We do that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. Whatever. Anyway, so then he goes, he tells me about his service. He goes, yeah, I and like I think he said either 6 or 7 other people were in charge of protecting the Saudi Arabian royal family. So they
mm,
were stationed at the palace, but they're U.S. military, but they're protecting the Saudi royal family. I'm like, okay. And then he goes, so I got a call one day to go out into this desert, and we go out there, and there's a whole unit. Like there's all these tanks and all these jeeps and all this stuff, but the unit ran and left their guns. They just dropped as if they vanished.
mm,
Now, I'm not sure, about the steppes or the desert, if they, like wiped away, where these people ran off to, or if the unit disappeared. I'm not quite sure what happened, but what he said to me was like, nobody just drops. First of all, if you've been in the military, nobody drops their weapon.
right.
You
No.
know, that's a
Yeah.
part of you, and
Yeah.
so you don't do that.
100%.
Um, yeah, so he's like, they just dropped everything, and he goes, you know what it was? I'm like, no. And he goes, it was either the Jinn or the
You're
Giants.
kidding
He
me.
goes, because that shit's real. And I was like, I was kind of thinking it might have been an HD hologram thing.
Right.
But then I told somebody else the story. They're like, oh, yeah, there's this dude on YouTube and he talks about it. And I was, what? So then I literally found this YouTube from some guy, and I don't know what his information is or how he was involved in any of this, but he actually told the story about what desert it was, and he backs it up that there was this unit and they all just dropped. But yeah, this military guy, he goes, the Jinn or Giants, and he goes, that shit's real. And I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah. It's interesting
I
you
was
mentioned
like,
the Jinn, by the way. So there's a lot of mythology about the Jinn, right?
mm-hmm.
Recently, there's a couple of ufologists who talk about the Jinn. I think Peter Levenda mentions the Jinn. Jacques Vallée talks about the Jinn, among other phenomena. But the one thing that I think is interesting is the idea that they're tricksters. They play games
Oh
on
yeah.
us.
Oh
They
yeah.
they manipulate our perceptions and what like they make us see. I got to give a shout out to the chat, by the way, but they make us see things that are not actually there,
Mm-hmm.
or they give us a kind of like a play, like a stage, and they
Then
show
aren't
us
they
something.
aliens?
Yeah, I
Aren't
don't
they
think so.
aliens?
Yeah,
Because I've seen alien shapeshift, and we need to get into
right.
that. But anyway, go
Chat,
on.
I got to
I'm
give a
sorry
shout
to
out.
inter.
We have so many people in chat that are old time chatters. I want to say what's up, everybody. There are too many of you to name all at once, but I'll name a few. I got to name a few. I'm gonna go back. Bryson, the very first person in chat was Bryson. Christine, second. We got Woo Rider, who, by the way, these are people that
Ooh,
used to
that's
follow me in my
Derek.
beginning.
Yes.
So what's up, y'all? Lex. We got John P. Adventures. We got Arizona Raven. Raven, did you change your name? I think I know who you are. You changed your name. We have Chiro Sounds, who is another OG listener. Scott, of course. Scott, you know who you are. It goes
Oh
without
yeah.
saying. We got Midwest Night Watcher. Midwest Night Watcher. Oh my gosh, my guy. What's up? It's good to see you in the chat too. Unless it's your wife. What's up to both of you in that case? I want to thank you guys for joining us. We have Peanut in the chat. Everybody knows Peanut. We'll talk about Peanut some other time, Coley. But Peanut, what's up, Peanut? It's been so long since I talked to you. And of course we have, well, there's quite a few. Polly. Polly's also in the chat. She's a,
Polly.
yeah. So
Aw.
Polly, what's up? So thank you guys for listening. And we also have Reagan. Reagan, I hope that's okay to say. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling you out. All right, so let's go. Let's keep going. Sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, so we say Jin or whatever, but I mean, we really need to get into this whole shape-shifting thing. Um, because I'm gonna, I hadn't seen the Grays for many, many years, and now I'm an adult. Oh my God, I had so many stories to tell you. But anyway, but this one's kind of like upsetting. Um, my husband and I, we live in this suburban house, and they put all three bedrooms down the hallway. I mean, so if you're wanting to have a date night with your husband and there's children, no bueno. So we would like go downstairs with a pitcher of daiquiris and pull out a sleeper sofa, watch TV and have a date night that way, make a fire, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And we're very conservative in that, I'm not gonna like have on leather whips and chains and then like stay that way all night. I'm like, we
Oh
don't do
my
that.
God.
But anyway, but anyway, what
I
I'm
love
saying, we would have our
it.
clothes on when we go to bed.
Oh.
So I'm going to bed. I got a t-shirt. I literally used to wear a bra to bed and underwear and pants because it was like I was this mom and a Girl Scout. Like if something happens to the kids, I'm ready to go,
Yeah,
right? I'm
yeah.
like, I'm ready to go.
She's a
And so,
fighter.
yeah, I'm just like, go. Okay. So all of a sudden I wake up and um my head is hanging over the foot of the bed of this pull-out bed. I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm realizing that first, and I'm looking, and in front of me is these little tree stump people or beings, and they're probably about this big around. I have a picture of them. Oh, here it is. Because somebody else asked me to draw a picture. I'm like, I am not good at drawing. But anyway, I don't know if you can. So
I
this
can
is
see
what
it,
the
yeah.
little
I can
fire
see it.
plug
Oh
guy
wow.
looks like, and they looked kind of sharp and angry when they're coming in, and they're coming in wait anyway, coming in like that. And so there's just a line of them trudging in, and then one pulls off to the side, and I feel like it was a female because I talk to aliens telepathically, which is also bad. Like if you know me, because I can hear your thoughts. So
Mhm.
just so you know. Anyway, so they're trudging in, and she goes, "Oh, are we scaring you?" And of course, I'm speaking French. If you know, I'm like, "Beep, beep, beep, speaking F F F," French, 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 and 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 she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then she shape shifts. So instead of being like angular teeth, everything's rounded, and they have some brown modeling around their face, like Zach or Dax Zade. I can't even Dax. Anyway, Dax from
Yeah.
Star Deep Nine, whatever. I can't even say it. And the funny thing, and I need to add this because half the time I do an interview and I forget this part. The next morning when I woke up, I had brown modeling around my face and down my neck. I had to literally get it lasered off. Anyway, because it wouldn't come off. It wasn't
Oh wow.
hormonal.
Yeah.
It had to be from the lights. I researched this. I think it was the lights that they used that happened to me. Anyway, so she's like, "Oh, are we scaring you?" And then they softened, so they shapeshifted, and they're walking in, and I'm like, "Why are you here?" and all this kind of stuff. And okay, I like this part. She says, "We're here to save your planet."
Really? Hmm.
So that
Wow.
said to me they were off world. Now they're coming through the hallways, so again, I don't know if they came through a vortex or whatever, and we'll have to talk. I almost got swallowed by a vortex one night, but anyway.
Oh no.
So I didn't see a spaceship. Yeah, I know. I have so much to talk about. That's why I kept in the cosmic closet, because it's too crazy. Anyway, so I don't know where they came from, but they're coming in my room, and here she is, blah blah blah, and my head is like killing, and she's like, "We're here to save your planet," and I'm like, "More French, f you, whatever." And I realized like I'm in paralysis again, and I hate that, but I'm really good at fighting it, so I'm like, so I'm like trying to get my neck up, and there's my muggle husband all asleep, blah blah blah. I'm like, what good are you? You're 6'3", but I need your help right now, and you can't do nothing. Whatever. Boy noite. Anyway, so I'm trying to get my head back up on the mattress. Oh my god. Okay, so I get my head back up on the mattress. And he's really light, but maybe you can, I don't know if you can see this guy.
Yeah.
With his little smiley face. Look, he's wearing black Speedos. Okay.
Yo,
So
why's he got Speedos on? What's up?
I know that's the first alien I've ever seen with clothes on. But so what I noticed, okay, so I'm flipped around, and I'm just gonna tell you, my husband is a light sleeper, and he bitches about like me moving around. Oh, don't move, you woke me up and all this kind of stuff. And oh, you had a bad dream, or you were talking in your sleep, or something like that, blah, blah, blah. So how I got upside down without him bitching at me, is a miracle right there, which is a clue. And so then I'm looking, and here's this big light over my feet, and it's iridescent, kind of like like how they have at the dentist or in an operating thing. And the light was probably about this big, it's kind of big, not full size like operation size, but bigger than the dentist. And here comes this guy, and he's skinny. I mean, I'm telling you, like his hips are only about like this. Okay, he's tiny and skinny arms, and he's smiling at me, and he's gonna climb on top of me, and I knew him immediately, because I remember being in like during kind of the time of the Grays, but there was a time, I think really about third grade, I would make like a stick figure. So it'd be like a circle head, and stick guy, but I would like make swirly arms with like balls on the end, like swirly.
Yeah.
And then I'd sit back and I'd rock and I'd laugh at it like a trauma response as a child. I'm like, why am I doing that? Like I would draw the stick figure and then I'd rock and laugh. No memory. And then here comes this dude from underneath the light, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I know who you are.
Mm.
And he starts to climb on top of me, and out goes the light. I blank out. I'm gone. Okay. All right. So next morning, Dana's head is on her pillow where she's supposed to be.
Right.
And why didn't my husband bitch that I moved around again, right? Okay, I went to bed with clothes on, because we would like always just make sure we were, fully dressed and washed up and all that kind of stuff. But I am naked.
Oh no.
And so, yeah, so I look over onto the floor to the side of the bed, and I'm just gonna tell you, I'm a, I keep things tidy, but literally if I'm taking clothes off, like having sex or something like that, you're just doing this. I mean, maybe I might have folded them or something, but I fold them like at a doctor's office kind of a thing. My clothes were, I forgot when I was writing the book. Dude, you had socks on, because I used to wear socks. This was before menopause. So here were my socks. Then was my underwear, or my shorts with my underwear in it, with my t-shirt, with my bra
Oh my
in it,
gosh.
just like,
Wow.
well, and I had learned that that's what happens to abductees. Like they melt you, like your body goes away, and so your clothes just fall off, kind of like prom. Anyway. So
Up like
my
a prom
clothes,
dress,
yeah,
yeah.
up like a prom. So there was a puddle of my clothes there, and of course, just so I didn't say, oh, hey, honey, we got abducted by aliens last night, blah, blah, blah. I never brought it up to my husband, but there were my clothes. I had to quickly put them on, and I was like, oh, there you go. That shit really happened last night.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm thinking, okay, yeah. This whole time, all these years, I'm like, yeah, okay, they took my eggs, and I'm all upset about that. But then it was like, I was writing the book and almost publishing it, and I was talking to this other woman, and we were talking about other things, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh my God, with me, la, 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 it's my husband's DNA.
Oh,
So, they didn't have to do anything to him because they had his DNA with me. So now these animals have everything that they want to make perfect humans or clone us or whatever.
mm,
I don't know. It's upsetting. And people have sent me like videos like they want me to watch or YouTubes and stuff like that. It's upsetting. It's upsetting because, I love my children. I love all children, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like, that's very rapey. I mean, like, and that's theft and that's whatever. And they have my children. They have
I
everything,
gotta ask
you
you
know?
then. This is
Yeah, I don't
this
like
is an important part of the conversation
Yeah.
because do you so you think that it's invasive? You're pretty much describing an invasive,
Yeah.
unwelcome, in this
Mhm.
case, encounter. Do you think that it's for a positive aim? I mean, you mentioned
It,
that's
right.
kind of my question here because
It could be. It could be. And that's the only thing that keeps me sane because, like she said, we're here to help your planet. And that's fine because you know what? There's so many times where it's like, oh, I can have one belief system, but then there's a piece of information that just switches everything for me. And, and I'm quick to pivot in that way. And so that's the only hope that I have. But let's just say, to be fair, Whitley Strieber saw these
yes,
guys.
yeah,
Okay. He saw them a little differently, but they show up in Hollywood because then when I was writing the book at the end, because I gave the last year to Spirit, I said, Spirit, my book was very vanilla up until the fourth year, and I opened it up. I said, Spirit, whatever you want in the book, and then all the wheels fell off the bus, and then there's reptiles, and oh my God, and
right.
whatever, and oh my God. I'm like, really, we're gonna go here? And then like David Bowie popped up, like, you're not doing your art if you're not a little bit frightened. I'm like, okay, David Bowie, thank you. So here comes Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like I've seen that movie a million times.
Mm,
And the end scene came where the bay door opens on the spaceship. And
mm,
like, oh my God, I'm triggered right there. The government's right there. Off come the civilians, off come the military personnel, and who comes off next? A bunch of little creepy hybrid babies, right? And then who comes off next? Tall stick guy. I'm like, screw you, tall stick guy. He's a little bit bigger than my dude. But then let's look at Jack's skeleton. Let's look at Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Weird Children, whatever that movie is. And those are evil, skinny dudes running around. And then I just saw the trailer for that silent film or like where you can't make any sound. There's like I think this is
um,
part 3.
yeah, A Quiet Place, A
Yeah,
Quiet
yeah.
Place. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the precursor. And then they kind of show them, what are they? Tight, skinny stick guys. But these guys are evil, like the Mrs. Peregrine's, well, like mine was super nice. But I mean, Hollywood knows about these skinny stick guys. Like, who are these people? I don't know. But yeah, it's not nice. But also, I also know that, hey, you know what? I call myself a this isn't going to sound I call myself a cow because it's like I'm just a cow in a field and here comes the farmer and his dog. How does a cow feel in the field munching on your grass? What the hell is this dog? I mean, that's an unusual being, isn't it? Here comes
Mhm.
your skinny farmer dude. That's an unusual being, isn't it? Is the farmer
Mm,
doing something good or kind or whatever? I mean, we don't have an understanding. We are so benighted as humans. And my mom was always like, we're stupid as heck. I mean, like, science thinks it's got it all going on, but,
Oh
so I
yeah.
mean, at least my mom gave me that much. So it's kind of like, yeah, I can't judge it. And maybe she seemed nice enough. The little log lady seemed nice enough. And maybe she was right. But I'm just a little bit not happy that they have my children. Although I did tell my own sons, hey, if you see somebody that comes up and it looks like it could be your brother or sister. Yeah. Oh, and then when they were playing Halo, when I finally got them Halo, and I walked in one day and I saw those ships and stuff like that, I mean, I just about fell on the floor and like, because I didn't want them to have Halo for a number of years, and like they hated that. I'm like, and then I finally let them have it. But anyway, so I saw this, because whatever, I saw the ships and I said, guys, I don't know what game this is, but whatever their technology is, you got to learn that shit. Because if these spaceships land, you need to know how to run them because this stuff is real. And they looked at me like, like, okay, mom, like, there's mom again,
Oh
but it's
yeah.
true. It's true. That's more disclosure and training. You don't think the military, because the military came out with video games. They're the ones that did it to lower the kill ratio so that their soldiers could kill more. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that's the truth. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm sure the military is watching these kids online like, oh, who's a good one? Joe. Yeah, Joe. We want Joe over there, right? And can't they then make them space kids, space cadets? You know what I mean? Like we were talking earlier about putting kids in the Star Wars and stuff like that. Yeah, right there on Halo, right there on your Xbox.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
they're
even
probably
think about it like
recruiting people.
that.
On
Yeah.
Halo.
Oh.
Yeah, they're recruiting people on Xbox and whatever. Yeah, why not? Of course they are. Right?
My son talks about it because he's experienced a lot. He said, I want to go. He's just like infatuated with Men in Black and stuff now. And I'm like, Brody, you may not necessarily want to go that route. I said,
No.
we don't do the work for the government. So in saying that, how much, I know, right?
Yeah, we do, but I don't get a pension. Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they just do whatever they can to destroy you. But so how much of it do you think ET government hand in hand, the ET is the government, or I mean, where do you think the line is drawn there? I have a hard time with that too.
Well, our government or whatever that we see as the public, I mean, they're just puppets and they're puppeted. I go back and I write in my book about Eisenhower because I was told he was the last true president. And then I didn't even know that he was missing for one night and he was in the Vegas, I don't know, Roswell area or something like that. And I think that's when they disclosed to him about aliens and blah blah blah. But I did notice most for my life up until the last couple of presidents that when a president comes into office, take a look at every one of them and go like the day they get inaugurated and then go about 2 to 3 months, they turn gray. They turn gray because I think they see the shock. I think then they're shown what's really going on, who's in charge. I mean, oh my God. I mean, and we can go on because then that's politics and religion right there, people. I mean, okay. And just so you know, because everybody's thinking like the gray aliens are going to show up. No, because my belief system is every time I've been with different aliens, there's a frequency that's going on in the room. There's like a vibrational thing that's going on. So it's kind of like fish in water. And the grays are scrub anyway. And I don't even think that they are actually how organic they are. I think they might be being controlled like a drone. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Mine seem to be embodied and organic when I met them, but I don't know. But anyway, so when I've met them, there's always a frequency or vibration going on in the room, which speaks to me that they couldn't literally go out and get a job at Subway without having and holding that frequency. So I don't think those guys, the scrub, there's not going to be disclosure with that. It's the more evolved ones. We all know who they are. I don't think they need that type of frequency. And so I think the divine, the benevolent ones that everybody's hoping to have a utopia with, I don't think they can hold the frequency to be in this 3D denseness either. So I don't know. Is that a lot?
Well, yeah, real quick, there's
No,
a
no.
couple things to say. Sorry, Colleen.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I guess when I saw them, it wasn't in our time, our place. It was in their space and time. So, but you're saying that they actually you saw them and like experienced them right here.
Oh, 3D, yeah. 3D in the room.
So right in, yeah. Did they have any sort of? I have to ask, like, any sort of protective barrier? Did they have any? Did you feel the shift at all? You talk about the frequency in itself.
Right.
So I'm just curious because some people have talked about how there's been a bubble around them or how they were able to like join in, but there must be something within you that's already been, do you think, not acclimated, but maybe changed or adjusted that you were given that experience here?
Well, I am a little weird. I'm just going to say that. And I think it's from being in these frequencies. And this is, nobody else has heard this story. And there's at least 100 people that witnessed this. I went to a seminar that was advertised on the radio and stuff like that. Seminar, go forward. It's a healing thing, like learn how to be a healer, whatever. And this is probably like 25, 20 years ago, whatever. And the guy's still around, still teaching. Anyway, so we're in this big event room, like 100 people at least. And it's a 3-day event thing. And at the end, he's at his podium and he's far away from me. My girlfriend and I are in the back row. And he goes to the first person on the left, um, look into my eye, look into my eye. And, you know, we're way in the back. I'm like, I can't see what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And then it's like, can you see it? Can you see it? Okay, okay. So he goes to the next person, look into my eye, look into my eye. Can you see it? Can you see it? Whatever. Anyway, so then about the third or fourth person, my girlfriend sees it first. She's like, oh my God, he shapeshifted. And I'm like, what? She's like, he shapeshifted. This dude in broad daylight standing on a podium. She said he shapeshifted. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So then about the fourth, fifth person, I see him with just kind of like a holographic overlay. So I could see him, his body, but then there was like a little movement, something or another, whatever. Okay. So he's going along, doing all the people. And he might transform like 2 or 3 like different holograms for each person, something like that, maybe. So he gets to the back row and he gets to me. And so I never really understood this, but I'm thinking now it's because of my proximity to all the alien species I've been around that I have this capacity. I don't think it's me. I think it's just a thing. Remember how I told you earlier when I was a little girl, weird stuff would happen to me. It would last 2 or 3 days. I don't know what's residual, what's a part of me. I know I'm weird, but anyway. So all of a sudden he comes to me and, you know, at first you could see him, there's a holographic overlay, but then the next thing you know, he literally is gone. And there literally is a 3D person standing in front of us. So it's a little old lady, it's a young man who's a soldier. So it'd be like, all of a sudden he's like, you know, like a Confederate soldier with a gun. So at first it was just him solidly transforming, and everybody's like, what? But then the show started. Then all of a sudden the whole room melted away. And I remember watching it. I was like, holy shit. Because all of a sudden, the first one I remember, we were in the mountains. The walls went away. You couldn't see the event room we were in. We were in the mountains. We were in a cabin.
This happened
We
like this happened wakeful at an event,
Yes.
not in a
Yes.
dream or anything like that.
Nope, in front of 100 people at a stupid event.
Mm.
And I thought only I was watching it. And so the whole room transformed like a holodeck on Star Trek.
Wow.
No joke.
And what
And-
year would this been in? Like, was
1990.
okay, so
6 or
it's
7?
before, yeah, that's been introduced.
It was
So
a
that's
long
great.
time ago. Yeah. And so like all this is, and I don't know what everybody else is seeing. I just know what he and I are doing. Okay. But the energy got to a point where I literally was crouching like a gargoyle on top of my chair. And I was just like fascinated, like, you know, I like, let's go, let's do this. But there's only so much I could take. Right. So we did this for quite a while, and then I had to drop, and I was like exhausted. And I was like, oh, and I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, did everybody else see that? Can you imagine the looks on those people's faces when they turned around to look at me? Yeah, I was the scourge. Like they looked at me
Oh
like,
no.
well,
Oh
like,
no.
I mean,
That
all of a
would've
sudden,
been
like,
me for sure.
no, seriously, like they were afraid of me. And I was like, and then it was my girlfriend and like one other person or something like that. And it was like, okay. Then they were wrapping up the event. We all had to stand in a circle. Thank God my girlfriend was with me. She'd hold my hand. The other people would. But the dude looked like the dude would look like a Fu Manchu guy. There was an Asian medicine man overlay on him with a gown and a hat and everything. Like I couldn't see him anymore. And even my girlfriend's like, does he look like an Asian medicine man? I'm like, yeah, he does. And okay. And then, so that wrapped up. And then I go back to his people because I could tell he was mad at me. Okay, whatever. What did I do? I just showed up. Anyway, so I go back to his staff and I'm like, hey, has that ever happened before? And they're like, like half of them backed away. I'm not even joking. They just didn't want to talk to me. One lady was nice. She's like, no, we've never seen that before, and they travel, and do a lot of events. And so she took pity on me and she said, here's my number, give me a call. So I did call her, long story short. So then she gave me his number and I called him up and I'm like, hey, I'm Dana. And he's like, yeah, I know who you are. And I'm like,
Yeah,
were you?
I
I'm
remember
like,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, were you mad at me? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what or why? And he wouldn't say, and he just said, Spirit told him to allow it. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. That's cool. And I'm like, well, what does it mean? Because I had no idea. And my girlfriend said, because he wrapped up the whole show and he like never explained it. And so she was angry because she goes, that's just a trick then. I mean, like, that's just a parlor trick. Like, why would you bring out something like that and show all these people this and then not tell us what it was about? Because that was huge. And I'm like, I agree. So I was trying to get more information out of him. And then he was like, oh, I'm like, are you going to teach more about that? And he didn't answer. He goes, well, you should come to my next seminar, in
I'll get
Arizona
right
and
on
all that kind
there.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you going to talk about this subject and tell us how to use it? And he goes, no. And I'm kind of like, in my mind, I'm like, well, then why am I coming to your seminar? Why would I spend all that money and all that time and stuff like that? But he would never come back to Minnesota again. And he told me that. So I didn't understand it. And there's another story where this kind of happened again, but in a smaller scale. But I didn't understand it. But now I'm kind of like, it's shape shifting, Dana. It's holograms. You have this innately because you've been exposed to it. You've been a part of it. So yeah, there's 100 people. And if somebody knows it, I'm looking for these people. I want to meet these people. I want to hear what their experience was, what they saw. Because my girlfriend said she saw it fully. I'm like, you saw the walls melt away? And she goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, we all saw it. I was like, okay, because that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. But this world is crazy. I'm telling you. And that's the thing. Thank you to everybody. Thank you guys. Thank you
Yeah.
to your audience because guess what? Isn't life way more interesting? Like
Oh,
we can walk
yes.
through this
Yes.
world and with curiosity and magic and like knowing that you are a creator and that you can create
Mhm.
things and we can work with all of this and create our worlds and the lives that we want. And a lot of the times we're irresponsible about it, but we need some responsibility, to do this. I'm just learning it myself. Like I'm kind of like a whatever, like I didn't know that I'm a good manifester. I had no idea. Otherwise I would probably have some money, because
Yeah.
like, but I'm just, it isn't it to be a muggle, to be a normie and just watch football and eat Doritos, like that is harsh. That is
I don't get
horrible.
that. I know. I know. I was like, sometimes I think some days maybe it would be easier just to be that person
I know.
watching that game. You know what I
I know.
mean?
I would like to have that,
Ah, just have a
but
breakaway. But yeah, I
it's
know.
boring,
Look at what you're missing out on. Yes.
right? I
I mean,
mean,
like as a
because
kid, when you were talking about the electricity, I used to shut down street lights all the time. And it
yes,
got
I
to
do
the
that
point,
too.
yeah, I know it
Yeah.
was like my dad's like, this has to be the car headlights. I remember him saying, and I was like, okay, let's go around again. So
Yeah.
it's kind of things like that I really connect to. I just eating this up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely.
And I do that because I say I want to help people stay whole, holy humans. And so the first part of my book, I talk about me. And then the second part, I talk about you because um I believe in good and evil, and I feel that there are sinister parties at play, and they use their ability to create, but they use it negatively and to harm. You know, so. But I was brought up as a Christian, and it was kind of like, oh, but you don't do these things. Oh, Jesus can do these things, but not you, because then it's evil if you do it. I think that's a lie, and that's programming. So I'm trying to break people out because it's kind of like, well, if they're using their powers, we need to at least know that we are sovereign beings and we have powers. We are part of Creator. And Jesus said, well, because I'm not going to get, I'm like, I'm not a Bible banger, but he said,
Yeah.
as you can do, as I can do, you can do also. And so it's like, yes, and that's what we should be doing. So I'm trying to do a prison break at the back of my book. And it's kind of like, here are some energy things that you can do that are going to blow your mind away if you do them, because they're pretty cool, and one of them is with weather, um, controlling weather and all this kind of stuff. But it's kind of like, yes, we need to be participating in this because I think it's a dividing time right now. There's a dividing timeline of, good versus evil. And because we don't want this, we want more of a utopian future, you know, we need to be careful of our mother earth and take care of her, because if we're all looking at our phones and going to work and not really participating, and we're all looking down and have small little lives, that means these other people, we're at their mercy and they can do whatever they want with this planet and with us, and then we're not sovereign beings, and that's it's bad, so I'm trying to help people wake up. That's
I
the end of my
totally
book.
agree. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
that person too. My son will just sometimes I think he probably has to cringe, but I'm like, no, we're not. It's like there's always, but you have to if you want to take control
How
of
old
that.
is
And
your
he's gonna
son?
want that. He's 16, just turned 16.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You teach him. Well, it's in my book, but I'll just tell you right now, if we got a minute. And
Yeah,
I
man.
learned this. I learned this on YouTube of all places, and I think it's still there. But anyway, um, you're gonna blow his mind with this one. Go out when there's like some puffy clouds, but they're individual puffy clouds puffing along, boopity boop boop boop. And you go out there and you tell him to look at, well, do it yourself first, okay? Because I'm always like, you got to make sure it's real. But anyway, so go out, look at one of these clouds, and hopefully there's a couple of them, and pick one. And then you don't even have to know how this is. Just pop your frontal cortex, the front of your brain, imagine, image, emotion, imagination, image, imagine the front of your brain popping towards that cloud. And that cloud is going to dissipate. And you just stare at that cloud and stare at that cloud and stare at that cloud. And all of a sudden, you're going to see the fringes, and then you're going to shake like, oh shit, this is really happening. And the fringes will start to go. And then you watch, and the cloud will dissipate. The other clouds will still be there, but this cloud suddenly will not.
I've heard about this.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah. And I say no harm, no foul, and give it 5 minutes. That cloud will come back a little bit puffed. But yeah, that is real. And that is part of our participation in this planet. This is also a sign to you that's saying your prayers actually work. When you're praying for someone and you're sending that energy out there, it's actually going through the ethers and it's actually transforming and helping somebody. So you go out there and you pick on a cloud and you'd be like, oh, that's too weird. That didn't happen. That's baloney. Do it again and do it again and do it again, because it's going to work every time. And then you can start to move those clouds around, and then you can move weather patterns. And then when you go on vacation, no, there's not going to be a hurricane because you pushed it aside. And if you don't think that's real, just do it, because it's going to happen. You can do it. I've taught many, many people. Kids love to do this thing and then that'll shake up his world because he's going to understand then that he is participating. And what can he say? Because it's like, no, you matter, my son. You matter. Look what you can do. Look at the power that you have on this planet. You are a whole, holy human.
I never thought about phrasing it like that to him, because we do that and be like, oh, there's 47, we're gonna get a store, like the things that in the clouds, like it's just crazy. And I've seen, and that's how I started. I mean, I just became fascinated with them. So, but to word it like that, like, hey, you are an active participant in this.
Yeah,
and that's phenomenal. I love that.
But can you imagine being 16 and growing up having that knowledge? I mean, I can't even imagine. He's like, oh, I wish I knew that then.
Yep.
You know,
well,
that's amazing.
He's experienced the first UFO. Everybody's probably heard this before. He saw it 2 weeks with my brother before I did. He doesn't so much. He just saw one like 3 weeks ago.
Whoa.
His little superpower. Like, I grew up seeing spirits and doing that. I was a weird kid too. But he says like time dilation. So he said he can kind of slow it down. So he's really at sports and things like that. So that's his little niche in it. So
I read about that too, working with time. Yep. holding time and space. That's what it is.
Yeah. So it's so phenomenal, like the information that these kids know, and just I love that you're a mom like that, because I am too. Like, I don't care who's in the car, we're talking. It's like, but that's really what makes life and the experience and everything all worthwhile.
But it makes us be responsible, because now
Absolutely.
you have to be responsible, because you know that your actions do something. Thought, word, and deed. We are creators. Thought, word, and deed. And if that they're doing it,
yes.
yeah.
Well, I think about somebody, and it used to be like a month or like 6 weeks, but now I think about something that's like here tomorrow. So I'm really cautious about, like the karma thing, and I'm very cautious anymore, because I'm a 1000% believer in it,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and so I don't know what's happening like in the cosmos, but it's like the time, everything is just really intensifying.
But I think it's amazing right now. I
Yes.
mean, it's
Oh,
a little
absolutely.
off-putting. I mean, I think everybody can feel within the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, things are strange. And I think CERN is doing a lot of that stuff. But see, and that's also why we need to be concerned. We need to be participating in it, because they're pushing at us. And we need to be able to push back. And one of the other things I say in my book, I'm like, hey, if there's no other takeaway, kindness. Okay, random acts of kindness. They're trying to set up division and hatred among us.
Who
Okay,
is
because
they?
that's how
Who is they?
the powers that be,
So
those that are in
do
charge.
you think
I
that,
call them they
because you
too, yes.
mentioned earlier about there being some kind of a control, right? There's like a,
Yeah.
right? Do you think
Mhm.
that it's us, or do you think that we're being used by something else?
Yes, there are different alien species that have been here before the human race, that are in charge, and they control the narrative, and the government is now, you know, like Truman or Eisenhower and all that, waking up to it. The different. Well, I mean, the governments knew, but they didn't always let all the governments know. The church knows, the Holy Roman Catholic Church
Oh,
knows
yes.
about this,
What is the?
Britannia.
You got to tell me more. So when you say you're talking about the control, about the
Hmm.
influence by this other, we'll do it. We'll
Hmm.
use the vernacular. This other intelligence that is
Hmm.
using humans and
Hmm.
hybrids, ones that
Hmm.
look like us, um, for a purpose to manipulate us.
Right. Well, they use our energies, because here's the thing: we are creators. They are not. They cannot. That's why they have to use us. And they also use, Monsters Inc. That's not such a joke, because they use our fear. You know they they use that. They feed off of that. They control us with that. So that's why I'm like, we really need to be okay, because people watch TV and you're kind of, offline, which really sets up a subliminal, like a really great way for
Oh,
them to
yes.
infiltrate our minds.
Subliminal dissemination. Yes.
Yeah, so there's kind of setting up a little zombie apocalypse, and then like infiltrating a lot of muggles and people that are kind of offline and unaware, so that they can trigger them whenever they want, like Manchurian candidates. That could happen, which is why we that know, who are awake, we need to be very careful with our thought forms, and not be focusing on something negative, dystopian, like
Mm.
bad, bad, bad. Because if we think about it, that's
It's
what they
gonna
want.
happen. Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
because
God.
then we're helping them create it, because we are creators. So when you feel that or think that or watch these shows, you can watch the shows, but be mindful to make a break in your brain space
I
about
hope
it.
people are
You can
listening.
watch
Yeah,
it.
I hope
Or
chat is
that
listening.
narrative
Yeah.
voice in your
So,
head.
real
You
quick
gotta
before we
have control of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, the chat is extremely engaged in this conversation. I do
Oh,
want to
yeah.
say, I don't, you guys can't see this, but ladies, they love Dana. They love your energy. Just want to
Oh,
say,
thank
that's all
you.
they've been talking about is how funny you are and how
Oh,
they love your energy. And
oh,
I think we're
thanks.
gonna have Dana back again if you're down with it,
Yes.
because I
I
feel
would
like,
love
Yes.
that.
We
Thanks,
need
yeah,
to do like
guys.
a part two,
we
Oh my
definitely.
God,
cannot
I could
cram.
talk all day. I'm telling you.
You're
I love
so, you're,
I
so
know.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
I just
thanks,
wanted to
because
say
my
that.
husband's bored with me. I mean, and my kids are like, "We've heard it, Mom." You know, you know. Oh, thank you, you guys. That's so nice. But I mean, and I'm sorry, but okay, because I wrote this book, and so all you guys know about me, I don't know about everybody else. So to me, it's very fragile for me, and I almost cry sometimes because it's like I'm really putting myself out there.
Right.
Because I'm like, hey, I don't have a lot of time left.
Mm.
Clock's ticking, but I'm putting myself out there, so I'm exposed. But the thing of it is, I can't leave this planet. It would be a sin for me, knowing what I know, seeing what I've seen, to not share it and to not help others, because I'm telling you, this is a fork in the road, and we really have to be mindful because we are creators. We really are, and we have to wake up to that fact and be. Can you imagine? And that's why the British went after the yogis and stuff like that, because then we're not controllable, and we can control the narrative, and that's what should be happening. Okay, that is the thing. So be very mindful of what you're thinking, mindful of what you're thinking, stay positive thoughts, vibrate higher, skip, play, jump, have fun, be joyful, compliment somebody, do all these things, because that's the opposite of what they want. They want us to be scared and,
Yeah.
oh, I put on 5 pounds, whatever. Oh, I'm so toxic, I just don't even know, all that kind of stuff. You just be joyful. I mean, follow the children, like have fun, play, be Wookie Foot. Anybody know Wookie Foot? This group, you got to listen to them. But they start off one of these songs: "Be fearless and play. Be
Oh, that's
fearless and play."
so true. Yeah. And you know what? I think UFOs, then when I first experienced them, is just like that. I was like so excited. And it was that big, that big excitement again. And like you said, they really tried to take it away the last few years. And it took a lot to get that, excitement and that level back. But you got to be those children out there playing too. Cause I mean, that's right there, that
Right,
energy.
Would you be
right.
okay
It's
if
They
I
can't
contagious.
control us. Yeah.
would you be
Then
okay
I'm
if I
sorry.
if they had some questions for you in the chat?
Yeah,
Is it okay if I ask?
absolutely. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
try my best.
So
I have more questions than answers. I'm
there's
just gonna
I
say.
think we all do.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is everybody, I got some of your questions here in the chat, only in caps. So if you don't have them in caps, I'm not going to be able to catch them. If you have questions for Dana, just put them in caps. But I'm going to start with Polly's question. Polly's question is, hold on one second. There was like a 30 chats that came out at the same time now.
She's got the best
So
questions.
the
She
question
really
that
does.
she had
She's
was, do
honest.
you still experience some of the abilities you once had when it comes to like interacting with electric, I guess you could say technology and telekinesis and things like that? Do you still experience some of those phenomena?
Yes and no. Because legitimately, as a child, I could just wave my hand in front of something. I do know, and I think it's more infrared, my understanding, because like I can turn street lights on and off and stuff as I drive or something. It's literally as if the street lights know that I'm there, like I can talk to them or feel. It's like I can feel the electricity and turn it on and off. Um, I am a healer, and I will ask. I've been a death doula. I'm a Reiki master teacher, all this kind of stuff. Even though I didn't hang out my shingle or anything like that, because just learning how to work with the energies and stuff. Because a lot of people wouldn't believe the things that I do. It's more quantum when I do healing or something. I work on a quantum level. I don't know how to, but a lot of times when I do that, like one night I was praying for a little boy, and I can say this now, he's passed, and he had cancer or whatever. And I went out in the sky, outside, and prayed for him. And the lights came on. We have night lights and stuff like that. So automatic lights and stuff like that, it's as if they're hearing me, listening, they're working with me. I will talk, and the TV says the same words that I do, or the radio. Like it's as if I have this partner that's talking, communicating through electricity, which is frequency, and all of that. It just happens all day with me. And so the thing is, when I was a child, I didn't know, like I wish I had some science lab that said, try this, try this, try this, because I don't know all of my abilities. And I'm to this point still kind of afraid, if
Mm,
that's a term, because it's a little humbling to do some of these things. So a lot of times for people, I don't ask. I don't ask for money. What I do is somebody has something. I usually will just say, "Oh, do you mind if I pray for you?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure." Because I need permission unless it's like a general thing, like they're open, like wanting prayer or something like that.
Right.
And then I'll pray, and then I go in, and especially at night during dream time, and for everybody, if you're praying with somebody or for somebody, go in during your dream time and think of them, envision them in front of you, envision whatever the problem is that's going on, and you can quantumly ask for that to be changed because it's different timelines we're working with and stuff like that. And you yourself will be amazed at the things you can do, and what you'll hear is a positive feedback like, oh, Beth got better, or her cancer went away, or something like that. I mean, just start to play with those things. And you're going to think you didn't do it. Like, oh, it couldn't have been you. But then go out there and bust that cloud. Go out there and bust that cloud and come back to tell me that your prayer didn't work. Because this is the thing. We are creators. Stay whole, holy humans. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you. Thank you. And it does. It also gives it more of your personality and who you are and how you see the world, which we
Mm,
want. That's what you're here for.
thank
Um,
you.
so the next question that we have is so from Woo Riders. What's up, Woo Riders? So who are they choosing
Derek.
to meet? So who are they choosing to manifest their plans to, I'm guessing, and how do they choose people? So that's actually a good question. Do you think, I'm going to add on to this question, do you think that there are people who are chosen or do you think it's random? And then following up with that question, if you think that they're chosen, then what kind of people do they choose to show these things to?
Right. Because a lot of people have asked me about heritage or lineage and stuff like that, which could still be the case. Because people are like, oh, it's from your mother's side or whatever. But my dad's mom had the gift, and that was the thing that she died, and I never got to talk to her about her gift. And there's stories in my book about all that. Um, and I'd like to think lineage. So I took the little piece of, okay, the gift, right? And then there's my dad in Korea. And then he became an electrical engineer. And then he's working and applying at Honeywell and all this. So I feel like it's the perfect storm that I have an ability, I probably have a psychic ability for some of these things like telepathy or whatever. So I had just a, everybody has it. Okay. We all have it. It's just that some people don't realize it, recognize it, use it. It's kind of like we can all play the piano. It's just that Sharon over here sits down and man, she sounds really good where I'm sitting here with chopsticks. Could I learn to play better? Yes, I can. We all have the ability. But I think innately I had probably an ability. And so when my dad came in and then probably was like, oh yeah, somebody might have approached him and be like, hey, you want to be with the I don't know, whatever secret program he was with, because he's an electrical engineer, and they probably needed electrical engineers to help with this um deconstruct the alien spacecraft and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was a perfect storm. Like, oh, so you have a daughter, she has I'm sure that the government and the aliens probably know innately that I have the gift, or they probably knew about my dad and then came to visit me. Like, oh, let's check out on specimen 1876943. They probably came in that night, checked me out. Oh, good to go. Let's sign her up for the program, right? Because that's what I suspected, because the guy was like, your dad was this genius. I'm like, my dad was a genius? Like, I don't know, whatever. So I think it's a perfect storm. I think there's like an ability, and then, kind of like actors. Well, some actors, is it luck or ability or just being at the right place at the wrong time, right?
I say that all the time. Yeah. I don't think anything is coincidental, though. Like this has all been mapped out. This world has been created, and it's their architecture that we're
Well,
living
I
by.
probably have a soul contract to do this, and hey, why not? I'm like, that's way more interesting than just watching TV, eating Doritos, and
The
whatever,
football
and going to
game.
work.
Couldn't
You
you see
know.
yourself before this? I always say, like, I could see myself like, oh yeah, bring it on. I can take all this. I would like throw everything at me in this world, Now I'm like, man, maybe I just take a little bit of that back.
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah,
little,
I don't
you know?
want this. I don't want this. I don't. And some people are like, well, you must be schizophrenic or something. And like in my book, I'm like, I wish I was schizophrenic because then I could go to doctors and get some good drugs,
And
and it
there'd
would
be an
all go away.
explanation for it,
Yeah, it'd be an
right?
explanation. There wouldn't be any witnesses.
Oh, yeah,
But
I know.
that's not the truth, because I got,
Mm.
I go to therapists. Is my head squared on? And they're like, yeah, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, okay,
I
Well,
was
don't
well,
a
tell me
clinical
that.
therapist for 7 years. I started writing when this happened. I started writing on clinical notes, like my name, and I went through like the DSM, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be some sort of diagnosis for this, you know.
Listen,
And
my
it was
yeah.
like after that, you see all my beginning notes are all on my on clinical sheets. It's
my
unbelievable.
Oh,
therapist my
Yeah.
therapist told me my therapist told me I need a psychologist.
They're gonna want to
okay.
experiment on
She-
you.
She's
Yeah.
like, look, I
Don't
can't help
forget
you.
it.
We're gonna have to send you to a
Oh,
But they
oh,
just said then they shouldn't be there, and that's kind of
No,
why
no,
I'm
no.
I'm
She
not a
was
therapist anymore.
My therapist was awesome. The thing was is that she's
oh.
like you because of the like I'm very self-aware, something that she kind of made on a point to tell
Mm.
me,
Oh, you are
and to
too.
the point of like obsession, actually. So because of how self-aware I am, she recommended that I have somebody that's more specialized with somebody like me.
Oh.
So it was really interesting to hear like, oh my
Nobody
gosh,
can master your mind. That
no one
that's
can.
point blank. Nobody can.
Polly has
Yeah.
another question, by the way. So Polly, in case you guys, again, if you have any questions, please put them in all caps. Any questions for Dan at all? Polly asks, have have we been divided by those who have awakened genes and those who don't? Hmm.
Awakened genes?
So, for
So,
example, you know how there are some people who, I'm assuming this, I'm going to try to translate this. Some people have abilities. Some people are, we mentioned earlier, who are chosen for these
right.
abduction experiences, encounters.
Right.
There's something about their DNA, something about their genealogy, something about their ancestry. Do
Right.
you think that they're being divided for maybe and Polly, excuse me if I'm kind of adding to this, maybe for a future um, event or for humanity in general, like something in the future for all of us? Are we being
Well,
divided?
okay. So it goes back to the whole thing where I was saying like my grandmother had the gift or whatever, just this ability. I mean, we all as humans have it. Just some people have it a little bit more, which somebody else showed me like this videos about some nurse that was supposed to be at Roswell who interviewed like this alien, and I don't know, the whole thing seemed a little bit fictional, but a lot of things kind of clicked. So I think there was a lot of disclosure. But in this video about this apparent Matilda, I think her name was, or something like that, blah blah blah, that there was all these men around the alien that was supposed to have been rescued at Roswell. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Wait,
But
aliens?
it's a good story.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard of it.
So, but she was the only one that this gray would talk to because, well, I don't know, she's probably cuter than the dudes and probably more better
Right,
affects.
right.
But I mean, she probably had a psychic gift because it's
Yeah.
this telepathy thing. So I
Yeah.
think it's easier for them. It's kind of like a capacity to learn French. Some people have a harder time learning a language, or like I said before, the piano. And some people have an easier one, but I think innately some people have a gift. And so I think that's what happened to me. Now, could there be a division? Yeah, I think they're going to pick the people that have that talent. It's just kind of like people at the Olympics or something like that, or a model. This girl was born prettier, and it's nothing she did. It's just kind of how she is,
Yeah.
whatever. So a division, but I think we all need to have our responsibility. We can all make our gifts better. I mean, I think a lot of people suppress their gifts. I think a lot of people have big, big gifts. I think, and like me, I
There's
just
a
tried to be in denial and suppress everything about my whole life, a lot of my memories and stuff like that. So I think that's and the whole society, our food. I mean, come on,
yes.
fluoride in the water? What? Your
Yeah, yeah.
pineal gland?
Oh,
I
I
mean, come
know.
on.
Cringe, yeah.
No,
When
I
you're
mean,
talking about your
seriously.
grandma having the gift,
Hmm.
my grandma was a little bit different than me. She didn't see she could hold something as somebody's, and she had like out of
Oh.
body experiences. What was your grandmother's gift that you talk
Well,
about?
she had the gift of knowing, to the best of my ability, because I don't know everything. Because I mean, she died when she was about my age,
Oh wow.
not too much older. Um, and she shouldn't have. She was zapped by radiation because she had leukemia. Well, she got leukemia because she had some sickness I don't even know what. So they exposed her to a bunch of radiation. They killed her. Whatever. Anyway,
Oh,
but when my dad was in Korea, and when he was behind the enemy lines, and
Mhm.
the whole unit died, um, because my grandma lived, they lived in St. Cloud, and my mom lived in St. Louis Park. In the middle of the night, my mom and dad were just dating at that point, but my grandma, it's a phone on the wall, and hers was probably like ring, 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 you know, station 213, whatever, back long ago. Anyway, she called my mom and said, Don's in trouble. I think Don's gonna die. I think Don's in trouble. He's gonna die or something like that. Well, nice thing to wake up somebody's fiance, and like now my mom's upset. But I'm sure my grandpa didn't want to hear my grandma like Don's about to die or whatever. Anyway, so she knew that my dad in Korea, it was substantiated later that, yeah, he went through that trauma. So, and I'm sure every soldier, what do? They cry out to their mother, right? I
Mhm.
mean, whether you hated her or loved her or whatever, everybody's like, Mom,
Still a part
right?
of her. Yeah.
And I'm sure he was in that moment, and she could feel, sense, and hear him. But there's no difference. It's frequency. And he is her water. He is her water. Your children are your water. They carry your water in their body. So it's a body of water. And water is
Oh,
intelligent.
yes, you're right.
Yes. So
It
that's how
remembers.
that goes.
Do you think I always had the death dream? I didn't know who it would be. I knew how close they felt to me, but it was always within 30. It still happened with 30 days like that.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
so things like that. But when you look and you sit back and I just remember I can't remember, Alan Watts, I think it was. He's like, you got to experience it like you're a passenger in a moving train. You can't
Mm.
take anything too seriously because nothing is, we have, like you
Mm.
said, this small spectrum that we
mm,
can see, and the majority of it, we don't see full spectrum. We can't see what's going on around us. A lot of us have, can peer in. But yeah, I mean, there's
Right.
so much, just to kind of wrap your mind around. But I think that there are individuals, and I'm really appreciative that, you're coming forward with all these details in your
Thank you.
story because it truly is hitting home. Like I'm just
Mm.
parts of it. I'm just like, and I've listened to so many people give their testimonies. So
Yeah.
there's just things that as an experiencer or things that you would not know and that
Yeah.
connection that you have, so it's just unbelievable. So I do thank you
Mm.
very much for that.
Thank you. I want to add one thing because I did train to be a death doula as well and all this kind of stuff. That's a whole nother world that I was in. But I'm going to tell everybody, here's a little secret. And it just kind of go into this for a minute. When you can't sleep at night, just think about this for a hot minute. A lot of people who have crossed over and come back, they will say, there's nothing to fear. We live here. I mean, like outside the government and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just a part of your life. I think we we don't move forward a lot of times because we're afraid, like, oh, should I get that job? Should I ask that girl out? Should I do this thing? Oh, that's too much. We live in fear and we limit ourselves, which is terrible. We limit ourselves.
Absolutely.
But when you cross over, you're like, oh my God, I should have just ran with it. What's there to fear? What's there to stop you, me, whatever? What's there to stop you?
I
Be
agree.
fearless and play. Just let go of these things. Let go of these things and believe in yourself. We have to be whole, holy humans and just believe in yourself and like how strong you are to be in this dense body. Because I'm sorry, it is hard to be in this dense
Mhm.
body. It's hard. And just for a minute, give yourself like some super credit for doing this shit, man, because it's hard, you
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. And get a
You
hold of
know?
that narrative inside of your
yeah.
head that
Yeah,
I
being a
said that.
ghost is easy. Being in
Being a
heaven's easy.
ghost
That's
is
easy shit,
Yeah.
Like this is
Okay, I said I'd be
hard.
the, you'll know I'm
It's
around because the
hard.
lights are going to be flickering and yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. So I
Yeah.
mean, everybody, give yourself a hand, give yourself and go for it.
Mhm.
And this is the other thing I always told my children, whatever. Like, just imagine yourself like when you're 90 years old and you're at the old folks' home and you're sitting in a chair. Now imagine your today's self walking in to see your old self, and this question like, oh, should I ask the girl to marry me? What would your old self say? Listen to your old self. What would it say? And a lot of the things that older person is going to say is fearless. It's like,
Very
don't
true.
drop these fears, go for it. So what?
Mhm.
You're gonna stumble. It's a learning lesson. And you know, what are you gonna lose? You're like all these things. You're gonna give yourself a lot of permission. Start playing. Start having fun. This
Yes.
is the thing they don't want
Yes.
us to do, man. You know,
They
just start
don't.
doing it, whatever it is.
Because
And
then you
just
have
play with
creative thinking. You're
yourself.
not thinking on their lines.
Yeah,
It's
and enjoy
creative.
yourself.
Yeah.
Have a little fun with yourself. Like, like just like, just have a little joke. Like, be a little kid with yourself for a hot minute. Just give yourself get those barrettes. I'm sorry if they're purple and they don't match your hair. Just do it, I'm
No,
like, have
Dana,
some
we
freaking
seriously,
fun.
we have to
Yeah.
have you back. Like,
Oh,
Yes.
there's
thank
no
you.
way
Yes.
this is all there because you're such a fun,
Oh,
you're so much fun
oh.
to talk to.
Oh, you guys are fun. I
Love the
appreciate it. I
energy.
appreciate
I
this
love it.
opportunity. Oh, thank you. Well, I've been hiding in a closet for a long time. I want to talk to somebody.
I'm glad you came out, girl.
Writing that book,
Thank
right?
you.
Like,
I'm getting that
Oh,
book. Yeah, I'm like ordering that right when I
oh,
get up.
thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate.
No.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you, I sat there for 9 freaking months. I'm not even because I had such a corporate mind. Like how do I? Because I wanted to speak thought, word, and deed. Your words. I mean, I talk a lot about our words and how powerful they are and the alphabet and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
it's huge.
Yes.
But I sat there and like, I need my frequency of my words to come through this page. And so when my friends would read the book, they're like, Dana, I can totally hear you. And I'm like, good, that's what I wanted. So literally for the first 9 months was one page, like one sentence, one paragraph, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? It was
So you're
so
trying to figure out
hard.
how you can relate, but yet how you can tell your story. And
How
that's
can I
the
get this
hard
to you?
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
You gotta let go
it
of
had to
that.
be
Yeah.
there
Oh, I
had to be
get
the
it.
magic in it of like I needed to bring my
Mhm.
frequency, and that when you're reading my words, it's spelling.
Mhm.
How am I going to transmute this to you that you can soak it in, and that I can be there with you? It's a one-sided conversation, and I'm sorry, but how can you hear me? Because I'm in your head as you're reading. It's kind of creepy, but I'm in the past, you're in the future as a reader, and I'm trying to be in your head. I'm trying to get you to see and hear and experience with me. But I want to take you on that journey. But then that's why I wasn't going to do any exercises at the end of the book. But remember, I said I had that last year, and Spirit said, no, this is your one chance to speak your voice, Dana, and you have to share some of the wisdoms to help people be holy humans, you know, and get out there and play. I mean,
Yes.
literally, when you're 90 years old, you're going to wish you were pushing that Target cart and pretend like you're a firefighter and like, do it. People think you're crazy, but you know what? You're going to give permission to other people to play. They're going to see you having fun. They're going to see you having fun. And what a high vibration is that? That's where our souls shine. That's where you're gonna get that girl. You're gonna get that interview. You're gonna manifest things because you're at a higher vibrational point. And I've been around a lot of very wealthy people, and that's where they vibrate. They don't say no. They
Right.
say yes, and they try to help others and bring other people up because you know what? They understand that frequency. Other people sniping about each other, that's low
Low
frequency.
frequency.
Don't do that. Yeah, let's get high.
Speaking my
You know?
language, Dana.
Yes. That's why God gave us plants. We got plant medicine,
I've been,
Yeah.
and I will say for the record, everyone, I
Mm,
am a big supporter of cannabis for a lot of
Yes.
reasons. For one, it's one of the healthiest ways that somebody can de-stress. It's better than alcohol because
Oh
alcohol,
yeah.
you know what that does. I mean, people literally off themselves and other people for that.
yeah.
It is good for stress. It is good for anxiety, paranoia, things even as extreme as Parkinson's, cancer.
Right.
There is no thing that it pretty much can't help with.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for people to treat it as if it's a medicine versus a drug.
Hmm.
Yes,
Right.
if you take enough of it, you can get high, and there's nothing wrong with that
Hmm.
either. But
Well, you know what? I've
you
never
can,
seen, like you go for a bar full of people and stand in I've never seen a room of people smoking pot, wanting to brawl one another. And, I
No,
really,
no,
it's,
no, 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 no,
and
no.
it grows on the land. That's all.
yeah, it's
Can
a,
I
it's
tell you
a,
a fun
yeah,
little plant medicine story?
by all
Can I
Love
tell
means,
you a
to.
yeah,
story?
sure.
Okay. So think of this, Santa, because I went through my kids with this one. They're like, "What, mom?" And they had to like Google it, whatever. Santa, think of Santa. He's a Sami shaman. So Samis are from the northern countries of like Norway and Sweden. You know, they're the Arctic people. And my family kind of comes from that area. Anyway, so Santa is a Sami shaman. So I went to Norway. I was on a Norwegian reality show. You probably don't know that. But anyway, they amanitas are, you know, you during Christmas time you'll see the amanita mushrooms with Santa, right? All the
Oh.
little mushrooms with Santa and the little elves,
Oh.
right? Okay. Well, then I learned that the word gift, literally there is a word gift in Norwegian, and the word gift means marriage and poison. So if you think about Santa, if he's a Sami shaman and he has the amanitas, what do you see when you're with the niños and the mushrooms? You see little elves. So he's giving gifts to the children all around the world in one night. So what that speaks to me is the healing medicine ceremony of the mushrooms. Santa is trying to give the gift to everybody around the world in one night, which would be healing. I don't know if that makes any sense. What I'm trying to say.
We've had people on that have done, you know, like Drew Banky. He's in my board. There's other people too, but they say too, like machine elves, like the DMT,
Yes,
like that in
yes.
creation and things like that. I mean, it goes very deep.
Yes.
Very deep.
Yeah. So all of that, and that's another realm. That's another.
I think we can have a roundtable about the like medicinal, things,
Mhm.
because I think it'd be really interesting to have
Yeah.
to educate people on how they actually affect people in a positive way and how people
Yeah.
can
Put me
use
on
them
there.
in a
Yeah.
positive
Bring me
way.
on. I'll talk
So
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dana, stay tuned because you are definitely going to be on a contact list here if you're okay with that
Awesome.
for one of those roundtables. That'd be
Absolutely.
really fun to have. Drew is
Yeah.
obviously going to be a part of it. Drew is definitely somebody who's well versed at that. His experiences are profound.
Yes. I've
Very
done a lot of
spiritual.
medicine ceremony.
So then
So I know
we're
I
gonna
know
get
all the
you, yeah,
plant
we're
medicines.
gonna get you
Yeah.
back. I mean,
Oh,
but
that's
for the
awesome.
time being, tell everybody about your book, where they can buy it, and where they can find you, and if you have content, where they can find you on the net.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So I'm on Amazon and kind of on Barnes and Noble. That's another story. And apparently there's some sidebars on eBay, but Amazon would be the place to go to find the book. And it's called This is Gonna Gonna Sound Weird. I'm Dana Louise. You can find me on Facebook as Dana Louise. I have another page, and because I'm a boomer, like, do I need two pages? I
You are
don't
not
know.
a boomer, dude. You're like
Oh
the most
yeah.
coolest.
I love boomers. I'm a Gen
Yeah.
Xer, but I love
Anyway,
boomers.
yeah. Oh, but anyway, I'm kind of I'm like a year in,
Yeah.
like the next year, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so then I'm trying to, I'm trying to do the social media thing. I just got on TikTok like about 3 weeks ago because
Cool.
like
Yeah.
my son's girlfriend's like everybody's on TikTok.
Yeah.
I post stuff on TikTok. Like I'm reading little things from my book. I'm reading like 5-10 minutes of chapters on TikTok. I'm also on X, whatever the heck that is, because it's Twitter. And I'm making
Clicks.
some
Yeah.
YouTubes and stuff like that. I got DanaLouise.com. You can find some stuff on there. It's not very big because I'm a boomer, man. Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, why can't I just write a book and that's the end of it? But anyway, so apparently I got to do all these other things and it's a lot. Plus I have to pick weeds. Like whatever. So because it's summer anyway.
Smoke.
So
No,
that's
no,
where you
you-
can
yeah,
that's where you can find me. I don't know, and one thing will lead to another, and you can find me here with you, you
Yeah.
lovely people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This just warms my heart. It's just so nice to talk because you can't go, to Starbucks and talk to people,
No.
about all this stuff, whatever. Well, I do. I talk because a lot of people,
Well, I
"Shh, don't
do.
say that. Don't say that."
I
I'm
was
like,
gonna
I'm
say, yeah.
speaking it out loud. I don't care
Marquise
anymore.
and I are the same way. And we were
Yeah.
together, we met previously, and so we started this. We're like,
Yeah.
we don't have these restrictions anymore. We can
Yeah.
bring this stuff to the table. So we're really pumped and excited, and you definitely.
Well, I'm pretty much shadow banned by all these guys anyway. So, I don't really get out there. I mean, like I put a post and it goes clunk because they
Yeah.
shadow ban you,
They
like if
do
you put
shadow
certain
ban.
words. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
heck
They
yeah.
do.
Yeah, nobody sees my stuff. So thank you for anybody that can find me. What are we supposed to do? I don't know.
We
See, and
will
that just
post.
that's I don't get mad about it. I'm like, I must be saying something good because they're
Yeah,
shutting me
yeah.
down. Whatever.
Job well done. That's what I say.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
we will definitely work together as a team here and post some of your stuff on
Aw,
different platforms so that you
thank
can get
you.
noticed by our
Absolutely.
audience at least.
Thank
We're
you.
not famous, obviously. Honest, I always tell people on a very small corner of the internet, mostly in Canada and the UK, I'm kind of famous. Um, basically not really. Nobody. We have an audience. We have a following. We have a lot of people that really they like us. They trust us. They've been
Cool.
following us for a long time, and
Aw,
honestly, we it's just awesome that we have the opportunity to help people like you get that word out, get that message out. Again, I say I think that it's all data, it's all information. When you
right.
talk about people's experiences, it takes a lot to come out and talk about them. You got to
Yeah.
respect that and listen and take it in because you can cross reference that to other experiences and data, and that's how you find out whatever your truth is.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't do it by ignoring something because you don't believe it. You have to listen.
Right.
So
And
And
with us
yeah.
behind us, there's a group of people, and they're a family. Like I said, like
Aw.
our admin team, like, and
yeah,
I'm sure they're adopting you as we speak.
Aw.
So
yeah.
you
They
Thank
just
love
you,
that
you.
because I'm
support
so
Trust me.
is just,
lonely.
Yeah,
yeah.
they love you.
I
They
am
love
so
you.
lonely. I
No, they love
super
you.
no, literally, because like, I keep pretty much to myself and all that. So literally, I am looking for community and I'm wanting to create community. So
You guys,
I'll join any
yeah,
community. Thank you for your kindness. I
yeah.
so
So
appreciate it. That was so much.
post your stuff on our page, so you can get
Okay,
you
thank you.
Absolutely.
you have free reign to do that as long as it's
Mm,
obviously appropriate. But post your stuff in the chat, or in our page.
mm.
Everybody, if you're listening, follow Dana Luis on
Yes.
Facebook, right? Facebook, you have a
Yeah,
page.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Facebook,
I think I follow
YouTube,
you now
whatever.
too. So yeah, follow
Oh,
Dana.
thank you.
It's you guys are in for a wild ride. It's
Well, I don't
gonna
know
And
where
there's
I'm
some
going,
people
so
I'm
don't
so
really
it's
follow me.
excited
gonna
to put
be
you in contact with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some people, like, I think you just be blown away, like, with some of the
Aw.
things that you're saying. Yeah. So we can help you do that. We're
I
great.
am being blown away. Like like all these people are coming out of the woodwork and stuff like that, and I'm like blown away. Like that's why things are clicking for me more and more. So I'm on this big like this is exciting for me because I'm learning more. That's what I love. We're all putting the pieces together.
Hmm.
We're all putting. This is amazing. They can't stop us
no.
when we're putting all the pieces together. Isn't that amazing? I love it. I
Love
never
it.
thought this was going to happen.
Well,
If
here
you'd
we are.
asked me back in 1965, I'd say no.
Yeah,
Well,
I see that too,
I'm
going
glad you're
back.
here. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
Oh,
glad you're
thank you. You
here.
So
guys know.
Thank you for doing your part.
I
It's not
appreciate it. No,
easy,
thank
but thank
you.
you.
From the
all
bottom
right,
of my
Dana.
heart, I mean it. I do. I could cry. Seriously. So
We'll all
anyway.
cry together.
Yeah, I know you're gonna cry.
All right, Dana.
Don't
We'll
do
see you next time.
it.
And
Thanks, you
everyone,
guys.
special thank you to Dana for
Yes.
joining us and sharing her story. We are not done with Dana. She has a lot more to
Oh,
talk
thank
about. So
you.
we'll have
Yes,
you
I
back on.
do.
We'll have you back on. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All
I
right, Dana.
appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Have a great
you.
4th of July and all that kind of stuff. Get out there and
Yeah.
have fun.
Have fun. All right,
Yeah.
Dana.
Blast those clouds.
Yes. Try it. Seriously, it's amazing. So you'll have a great vacation. You'll never have rain again, unless you want rain.
Unless you want it.
Love it.
All right,
Yeah.
Dana.
Make it
Thank
rain
you.
on somebody else's
Make it
parade. There
rain
you
on
go.
There you
somebody
go.
else's.
I have a list. Yeah, no,
You
There you
can
go.
do it. All right. All right.
All right,
Stay
Dana.
whole and holy,
Always.
humans.
Always.
All
Peace.
right. I love you.
We
Thank you,
love
you
you.
guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care. Coley, that was awesome.
she's
So yeah, she was such a
unbelievable.
wonderful person, man. She was so much fun. She's
I
like
know.
she's so animated in like her. She's a great storyteller. The one thing that I will say, it's very difficult to talk for hours on end. I mean, we're obviously good at it, but to have a guest who, I mean, you know who else is good at it? You know who else is good at it? Jim's good. Jim Goodall is good
Jim
at it. So
Goodall. Oh
like,
yeah, and
it's
he sees
rare.
everything. Believe
He
me. Yeah.
talks this. He's our guy. He can
Love it.
talk about. She's somebody who we can definitely talk to for hours,
Oh
which is
yeah.
awesome because this is what we do.
And we've only scratched part of the surface with
I
her.
feel
And
like,
it,
yeah, I feel like we didn't even get close to being what
yeah.
she wanted to tell us.
And she's like, I don't know if you know to, and I'm like, I've researched, like, I've been chatting with her for a while now, and I'm like, that's why I thought it was really cool that we did the introduction the way we did, because she has so much,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
to hear it from her and to bring that out like organically, like it was coming, it was just like unbelievable.
yeah. There's a
Just
lot that she
unbelievable.
said that I'm like, oh my goodness. Like I've been reading about the. So I've only as everyone knows, I'm actually relatively new to the UFO, UAP, cryptid, and paranormal field. I was always a person who had experiences, and then, you see TV shows and say, oh, that's cool. I just started during COVID, during the pandemic, I should say, sorry. During the pandemic, and
Pandemic.
during that pandemic, you could say, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about.
No,
Um,
yeah.
During that time, I just started studying, and I was like, you know what, I can make this happen, and I made it happen with the support of everybody. So here we
Look
are.
at
But
you now.
these
Yeah.
stories I've been hearing, and if you guys hear my little one in the background, she's yelling for me, sorry. I've been hearing these stories for the last few years, and I've been hearing them from credible people. And now I feel like, man, I've dismissed so many voices because I'm listening to them like, oh, these people are crazy, they're whack jobs, there's no way this is, why would I even, now I'm like, wow, I've literally read about this from people that I trust, people that
Hmm.
everyone trusts, from everyone from, and I know that we all don't all agree, but Elizondo, DeLong. I mean, we hear from even from people like Stephen Greer. If you're on the Greer side of
Hmm.
things, there have been people who've talked about secret government programs where they abduct people. There's a lot of
Yes.
people that on all sides of this, the community, that have talked about from whatever credible perspective you believe in this exact same thing. The thing about her
And
is
it's
though she's not.
subjective too.
It
Not
is.
everybody's, and that's what I think is so unique
Yeah.
about it, is like we can connect, but no two people see things the same way. But
No.
there's always those nuggets of truth. And I won't not talk to, I mean, unless it's somebody just completely flat out lying. But there's pieces in there, and you can feel it like when it starts to connect. Like with Dana, I'm sure that you connected at different points to what I did. And I love the fact that you're newer, like, to it, because you've got where I think I tend to, but I'm even opening up so much more and hearing this stuff. Where
Yeah.
at first I was like, dismissed, but it's a journey, it's a journey. And that's what it takes, level one, level two. And so you kind
Yeah.
of work through all of that. But I think we're just in an amazing place that I'm so excited because we don't have the the gags,
Yeah. The
or
gag. Yeah.
can't talk
No
about this, you
restrictions.
gotta talk about that. Yeah, it's like we're able to now do what we've always wanted to do, and I just love that. Just love it.
Yeah, and I really don't want it to go unsaid because, like, Coley's an OG in the field, and I have to say, guys, listen, I want to, I want to clear the air about something. Everyone's been asking me, what happened to you and Louis? What happened to you and Louis? Listen, Louis Borges is not human. I think he might be this is, clip me. I think he might be an alien, guys. Okay? He is the most insane, hardworking MFer I've ever seen in my entire. He doesn't stop.
No.
The man is like on 100 all the time. I can't keep up. And I have a lot going on in my personal life. I got a full-time job, I've got kids, there's just too much for me to be able to keep up with him. And so we had to kind of part ways. So he's doing his thing now, and I'm doing this. When Coley came to me with the idea, I knew it was possible to keep doing what I wanted to do because I was going to come back eventually anyway. I actually made an announcement I'm coming back, but I wasn't sure how I would do it because it's so hard to do it alone. And then she comes to me with this idea, and then brings an entire freaking team with her. All right, so if it wasn't for Coley, you guys wouldn't have this. I'm just gonna tell you right now. And if it wasn't for
If
the
it weren't for
team,
you,
no,
Marquise, yeah, and the
listen,
team, like,
no, no,
yes, it's everything had to work out the way
it
for
worked
yes.
out perfectly. This is supposed to happen the way that it did.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you, seriously, Coley, and I want to thank the team because, like I said, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I just can't. I worked a full day today, and I can't even tell you how busy it was before I even opened this morning to the time to 2 minutes before I had to close. I was extremely busy and I loved it. But by the end of the day, I was exhausted and I had to wash my dreadlocks, I had to dry them. This stuff takes so much time to do. I know this sounds like ridiculous stuff to talk about, but that was just a Sunday. which by the way is a shorter day for me. And it's just so it's such a there's just so much going on. So I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, and I really appreciate it. So I just kind of wanted to emphasize how important it is that we have the team. I want to
Yes,
emphasize how
the
important, and I want
team.
everyone to know
Yes.
that, the whole chat to know that it's not me by myself this time. I've got help. I've got help.
You know what? I just want to say though, I watched, and then when you were with Louis, and I'm like, oh, this is not Marquise. He's not, I didn't see that
No, it wasn't.
excitement and that
It
like
wasn't.
flair in you. Like I see it again. I'm like, this feels right. And any place like in between, I was always like, oh, Marquise. Like people will tell you. I'm like,
Everybody actually told me
oh, this
there
is
were
so
people
mad.
contacting me and they were like, Marquise, I don't know. And you don't realize that you don't realize it when you're in it because in my mind I'm like, man, I'm doing the thing. It wasn't
Mhm.
until it was, towards the end I realized I had to give Louis sad news. I said, look, man, I can't. That was one of the hardest days ever for me because to be doing this thing and to be so passionate about it and then to be doing so well, to just say one day, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Just one day. It happened in one day. That was hard. That was really hard to do, but I had to be honest. And when you're not doing the best you can, people notice that stuff. And it's not respectful to you and your time, everyone who listens to me. It's not
Mhm.
respectful to the audience that I've built up, the people that have been following me, to do it in a way that's not all me. 100%. The best that I
Yes.
can. This is what
And
needed
to
to be
see
done.
that excitement in you
Yeah.
again. Like
Yeah.
you're finally, I was like, we gotta do this, but we can't change anything the way it used to be. Like
That's
you
what,
gotta,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah, this is
I'm like, I
great.
loved it how it was. And now we don't have anybody saying, stop talking to this, that, whatever. So we've got that freedom and we got an
Yeah.
amazing team and we are an amazing team and I love it. So I'm just enjoying every single moment of it.
And the chat loves it too. By the way, you guys in the chat, you guys and gals, you guys are letting
Love,
us know how you feel. I appreciate that.
love it.
And it's so good to see so many of my OG chatters coming
Isn't that
back and
great?
talking. This is so awesome. Again,
Said we're getting the band back together.
the band is back in town. Bear with us with all the technical issues, okay? Two things. One, I'm gonna have to stream on YouTube. I didn't want to because the YouTube channel that I have now that we're using is not the YouTube channel that we'll be using in the future. But for a while, we will be using the DOR, and you all know what I'm talking about. We're gonna be using the YouTube channel until we get access to the YouTube channel, the Coley and Marquise YouTube channel. Then we'll be
Mhm.
moving over to that YouTube channel, and we'll be live streaming on that Facebook as well. So things will be more unified. Just bear what we're just beginning this. It's only been 2 weeks. So we're just starting. Has it been 3 weeks? 2 weeks? Has it
That's
been?
the third
Oh my
week.
goodness,
Yes.
time is flying. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beginning. The beginning. We got give
But
us
look
another.
at how much has come out of
I
it
know
in just
it's
that
been wild.
time. I
It's been
mean,
wild.
really, it's wild.
We
Wild
will
ride.
also be having a bonus episode this week to make up for yesterday because of the whole, the issues. We're gonna have a bonus episode throughout the middle of the week. There's a lot going on, so just stay tuned. Follow us on social. That's where you're gonna find out what we're doing, what we're up to. The Coley and Marquis Show on Facebook. Follow us. That's how you get. Again, that's where the updates are. The Facebook page is called Coley and Marquis Talk Show. Also follow Dana because Dana has a Facebook page as well that she's got 5,000 followers on. Follow Coley. Coley has a page that she's very active on. Coley, what is your page?
Which one?
Because I was
I've had to
lost.
start a few because I maxed out on one and maxed out
Yeah,
on the
she
other.
has so many followers,
So,
and it's like
yeah,
she's
but the
maxing out.
Coley Weber is the one that's I'm
Okay,
primarily on,
you'll
and
see.
Marquise, yes,
Yeah, don't follow my personal page,
follow
please.
him,
Don't
follow him
follow that.
everywhere he goes.
But
Yeah,
you can follow me on the. I'll be on the Coley Marquis Sock Show Facebook page, so I'll be posting on there. Just keep up with that. That's where I'll be. I'm not that interesting in my personal life. To be totally honest, I don't talk about
boy.
much. I only talk about stuff when it comes to this topic. So, yeah. So follow us there. Any last things to talk about, Coley, with the audience? Anything to say?
I just want to say thank you for all the overwhelming support and
Yeah.
the people that are reaching out. It's just absolutely unbelievable and humbling. And our team is just like I see so much come. I mean, and I've never seen it like this before. So super pumped, super excited. Bring your ideas,
Yeah.
bring, to us. Like we're real, we're there, we're responding. We might be a little bit behind because we do have a lot. I mean, like I said, I've never experienced before what we're experiencing now with this, which is great, absolutely great. And just know that we're gonna bring it to you. We're gonna bring it to you, and
Yeah.
there's,
And there is a Discord. I know that's my chat. So a lot of people that are in the chat, they actually were using Twitch before in Discord. We do have a Discord, but listen, do not expect a heavy activity like before, okay? Before I had a lot of activity in the chat. I do not have that type of time anymore, but I will be. You'll still see me in there. All right, so but I'll be under the Coley Marquise Talk Show um name. Coley, did you change the? No, that was you. Okay, so Coley, the Discord I'm gonna post in the YouTube chat before we should do this definitely before we end the show. I gotta
this is how those are the only two platforms, and for the life of me I can't keep them straight. I've told
Discord
I've
and
told
Twitch.
everybody,
It's
I'm
okay.
like,
Yeah.
Discord, Twitch, Twitch,
So
Discord. Yeah, so I
unfortunately,
don't even know where I'm at.
the vast majority of our audience is not on Twitch. They're on YouTube. So I'm not going to be putting that much focus on Twitch like I wanted to. I thought it because it's a lot. I know how to use Twitch very well. We're gonna have to just wait for YouTube just because of how many people are like they just
Yeah,
want
well, we
the
do have a few other ideas in the meantime, but yeah, I'm gonna work on my end too. But yeah, we'll definitely get going because I know the YouTube. I know, I love the YouTube chat. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. I know Tim in the legend of the chat, where, Mothman. And everybody's like, yeah, why, so just bear with us. Like Marquis said, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, so
So
the
it's gonna
Discord
take us
is
time.
in the chat in just a second, and yes, bear with us. Just look up this on Discord. It is 11:38 p.m. my time. If you chat in Discord between now and 9 o'clock in the morning, you're not gonna get me.
It's gonna be sunlight,
So
yeah.
this is honestly I'm excited about this. I'm really happy about the show today. This is really fun. Coley, thank you for getting the guests. We'll talk about when we're going to be doing that bonus show. If you're following us on Discord and or the Facebook page, you'll get updates about when we're going to do the next show. We do have shows next Saturday and Sunday. So just stay tuned for those two. We got Dolly and Preston. And
Yeah.
who's our other guest on Sunday? We have another guest on Sunday. I have to look at this. We have so
Oh
many
gosh.
guests. I honestly could not believe how many guests we had. When you were like, "Oh,
Oh,
I
we
have
got
it
so
booked
many
for," I
that
was like,
we weren't
"What?
booked yet.
How
Oh, I
did you
know.
do
I've
that?"
got a list. People are flocking to us, and I said usually I'm like, okay, will you please come on the show? Da, da, and it has not been like that. It's been like either bam, yes, or I've had people reaching out. We'd love to come on, love to come on, love to come on. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're definitely, so that's why we picked up another day right away. We were
Yeah.
just gonna keep it one day for just to see how it went. And we were just like, I mean, we could be booked like solid 6 months. I mean,
Yeah, we
really,
could.
truly.
And we actually have
So,
Stephen Bassett coming on the 13th. I just saw it. Stephen
oh
Bassett's coming
yes.
on. I've talked to Stephen a couple times. You guys, if you don't know who Stephen Bassett is, you have not been paying attention. Or maybe you don't know. If you don't know, guys, gals, just wait.
I
This is
love
a guy
Stephen
we have to
Bassett.
be following. We're gonna talk about his everything about him. Oh, I'll save that. I'll save it. But it's really exciting to talk to Stephen again. There's a lot of people we're gonna be talking to. So stay tuned, everyone. Stay
Yes.
tuned. Anyway, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we're hitting the end, and I want to say again a special thank you to everyone listening in on YouTube, and eventually we're gonna get you on all the platforms. Follow us on Discord, follow us on Facebook at the Coley and Marquise Talk Show on Facebook, and on Discord it's the Coley and Marquise Show. So they are different, slightly different in terms of the naming. I had to get what I got. So Facebook is the Coley and Marquise Talk Show. Discord is the Coley and Marquise Show. Follow us on those two platforms. Those are the two main ones you can get in
And
contact
join the
with us.
Facebook group.
Join the
That's
Facebook
that's
group.
been, yes.
Join it. So
Yes.
this is good. It's just there's a lot, and in the group, again, post news, post stories, post
I
updates
thought you
on
said nudes at first. I was like,
no
what?
news, news, News. Please do not
I was
post
like,
anything.
where are we going
I
here? Yeah,
will
no.
block that real LeBron James. Okay, calm down, chat. So, yo, Coley. All right, so there's that, everyone. But again, thank you all, and it is going to be fun to talk to you next time. Coley, any last words? No.
Peace out.
Peace out,
Yeah.
yo. Peace out, yo. All right, guys. See you next time. Peace.
Keith and Coley, they're ready to go. Talking about aliens, UFOs, and the unknown. The talk show is buzzing, the excitement grows. Exploring the mysteries that the universe holds. Get ready to dive into the world of the paranormal. Welcome to the Coley and Bobby Show, where we uncover the secrets that nobody knows. From aliens to UFOs, we're ready to explore. Strap in and get ready for a wild, wild ride for sure. Fearless and bold, not afraid to ask questions that challenge all we think we grasp. Every episode brings a new task to uncover the truth beneath the mask. Believe in the unbelievable. Open your mind. Welcome to the Coley and Bobby Show, where we uncover the secrets that nobody knows. From aliens to UFOs, we're ready to explore. Strap in and get ready for a wild, wild ride for sure. Welcome to the Coley and Rocky Show, where we uncover the secrets that nobody knows. From aliens to UFOs, we're ready to explore. Strap in.